A regular meeting of the City Council held in Council Chamber on Thursday, May 11, 2017, at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on May 9th, 2017, at 10:26 a.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV. Please double-check your phones and silence them. Councilors absent, David Epley. Councilor Milo presided. Councilor Ryan moved to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous minutes. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Sargent.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public testimony. We have 3 people signed up. Scott Sternberg.
Thank you. I'm Scott Sternberg from Ward 7, Hickman Road. I'm speaking regarding the Inclusionary Advisory Commission. Omani Padme Hum. Prior to this, I had the opportunity to visit with one of the local stores, the Tibetan Art and Healing, where he shared a number of things and taught me Omani Padme Hum, universal words for compassion. Compassion, inclusion, openness, tolerance, light. As I think about the discussions around the Inclusionary Advisory Committee, I think about the importance of the voice of members in our community who are minorities, who are marginalized, who may not have the same voice that all of us have. And so I'm hopeful that the council will consider that and think about not including the majorities, but focus on those communities that are marginalized, that are minorities, that don't have the same voice, and allow their voice to shine and help us to think about how we can continue to build on our community. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. Next, we have Paul Labrie.
Thank you, Council President. Councilors, for letting me speak here. I'm here tonight to speak in my point of view.
Mr. Labrie?
Yes?
If you could just give your name and address for the record, please.
Paul Labrie. I live at 11 Hemingway Road in Salem.
Thank you.
I'm here tonight to speak in my own way about the illegal immigrants that are in this city. And I have 2 questions. They're tied together. In the light of the sanctuary ordinance being sidelined, what are the city councilors planning to do with regard to those good illegal immigrants, a lot of whom are scared, so as to convince them that they are now probably more safe without the ordinance being in effect and the ominous target of sanctuary being placed on their backs? That's question 1. Also, in light of establishing a sanctuary board, what is the board and city council going to do with regard to seeking a route that will result in documentation of these good illegal immigrants who reside in Salem? And that means all the way up to the federal level. I believe that the voters in Salem and the good illegal immigrants and other minorities have right to know what has and is being planned regarding these questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Moran.
I'm here this evening to,
Oh, Ms. Moran, could you give us your name and address, please, for the
sorry
record?
about that, Thomas Moran, 6 Fairview Avenue. I am here this evening to voice my disdain on the sanctuary bill for Salem.
Sir,
It demeans the process of the millions of immigrants that have come to this country over the last...
sir,
This is not the
Excuse me?
agenda, why is he talking about it?
I asked if it was on the agenda when I came in. I was told
Yeah.
I could speak.
Ms. Moran, the thing that's on the agenda is the advisory committee, which is related to which was originally part of the sanctuary ordinance, but was separated. But I understand what you're saying, that it is related, so I'm assuming you're going to speak on the committee.
Well, I hope the committee hears what I have to say.
No, on the, I have to look at the title of it now, the Advisory Inclusion Committee that is on the agenda this evening.
I didn't come to speak on that. I came to speak on the bill itself.
Okay, that's not on the agenda this evening, sir,
All right?
but the related matter that is on the agenda is the Inclusionary Committee. So if
right,
you'd like to comment on that, we'll entertain.
Make one comment on that. I heard that there was someone from a Lynn committee going to serve on that committee, and I don't know if this is true or not. Some group from Lynn is going to have a voice on the Salem committee, and I think that would be a terrible shame. We are a great city. If we can't take care of our own business, it would be fine to have someone offer us advice, but not to serve on a city committee. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
A question again, will this bill come up again?
We have to wait and see what will happen in the clerk's office, but it will definitely be posted. There'll be a public notice if there's a follow-up meeting to reconsider the ordinance, certainly.
All right, thank you very
Okay?
much.
Thank you, sir. And I would remind everybody that there'll be no outbursts, because if there are, I'm going to ask people to leave this evening. Okay, hearings.
Order the National Grid to install 2 singly owned poles and relocate 1 singly owned pole on Bridge Street.
Okay, is there anybody here to speak in favor?
Good evening, my name is Dan Cameron, I'm with National Grid.
Sabita Mahaber Sheehy, representing National Grid.
Okay, you want me to describe what we're doing?
Well, do councilors have any questions before the representatives speak? No? Okay.
Okay, so we're here before you tonight for petition to relocate some poles, install a new pole, and also 2 manholes down on Bridge Street. And this is in line with the Mass Works project that's currently under design on Bridge Street. And we've been working with the city planning staff, along with their consultant, Stantec, as the city's desire is to remove all poles, basically from Boston Street all the way down to the end of the property where the new senior center will be. And so in order to accomplish that, we have several circuits that we need to bring down Bridge Street to continue the flow of electricity. And to do that, we need to rearrange the alignment of some existing poles beyond the senior center, and also install a new one, and also install a couple of manholes in Bridge Street. And that'll enable us to actually continue the distribution system through, via underground, and so that'll accomplish the request to have all the poles removed in front of those properties.
Okay. Councilors, any questions? Councilor Famico?
Thank you, Councilor Milo. Question through you to the petitioner. Is Grid also relocating the gas to the other side of the street?
Yes, we are.
As part of that, will you be leaving those in place, or will that be taken out of the roadway?
The existing gas line will be abandoned in place.
With that being said, Madam Chair, is there a possibility that instead that not be abandoned in place and instead I don't know the proximity that things like electric can be to water and whatnot, but at that point, if that was taken out, couldn't the electric be put there?
We'd obviously have to work with the gas side. But our typical practice is to, because we need to keep the gas line obviously running while we install a new one, and then we cut it over and we typically abandon it in place. In terms of encroachment for the new electrical line, it can encroach into the abandoned gas line. So that's not going to be an issue.
But what about if electric, can it be next to water?
It can be within a couple of feet of water, yes. We have a standard on the separation. So for most other utilities, it's anywhere from a foot to 2 feet away from existing utilities. And typically, water is actually deeper than the electric as well, so there's a vertical clearance that's usually maintained.
And do you have a rough estimate if this certain petition, if it were to go further out into the street, what is the additional cost for that? Just a rough estimate.
If the underground line were to move into the street, if it's only moving a few feet, because we still, our typical practice is, we have a pretty good idea based on existing records and plans, which is the best knowledge we have as to where the existing water and sewer and other utility lines are. But typically, we will do a couple of test pits to see where we can fit these manholes, because they are a good size. And to move them, out into the street a little bit probably will be negligible. If we move them to across the street, that would probably increase the conduit and cable length that we'd have to probably re-estimate it.
And is typically a gas trench 3 foot wide?
Actually, it's narrower. It's usually about 2 feet wide.
You still have the floor.
Yes. So my questions with all that, we'll go into it more and I'd like the public to speak, but as many people know, I've had concerns about the particular locations of this trench, especially with bicycling infrastructure. When you're putting in something, it's not that you're working around what's already there, you're putting in manholes from the beginning. And I know that we are going forward, we're not quite at the 25% plan design yet for biking infrastructure, but even that 2 feet that you just mentioned for that gas line, that would solve all these issues. That all my concerns as far as the manhole location. If that could go over 2 feet, then it's completely clear out of that way entirely. So I don't know the cost for that would be, but it just seems like pretty much a simple solution to everything else.
Yeah, assuming that the gas line is moved before electric goes in there, we would have no problem, working around that abandoned gas line. So if we need to move it, the gas line is not going to inhibit that.
All right, and I had heard that gas work might start next week.
It's going to start, I'm not sure the exact schedule, but the plan is the gas side to be in there before the electric side.
And I know we've done a lot of gas work recently in Salem, and the turnaround time for the gas work compared to when would you be looking to do the electric work?
Well, first we have to get the petition passed, and then we'd have to get it, lined up in the schedule, but I think we're trying to get all of this work done by sometime in July.
Okay. And I apologize, I'm just bringing up now the notion of potentially even just removing instead of abandoning it in place. It wasn't until earlier today that I received an email that all the counselors got this afternoon that said that you guys were looking to put the gas on the other side of the street, so I never even considered it. And it just seems like that could be a quick fix for that. As far as the pole location, I'm pleased that you said it is possible to move it outside of that sight line. Through Stan Tech, looking at everything, and I know people say, well, it's a pole, but it's set back. And if you're driving, and especially when we have a lot of elderly people, and you're going to take a right, it's not even necessarily the people in the bike lane, it's the people walking down the sidewalk, because that pole is closer to the property line, and someone could be coming at you. And I would say from my personal experience back in high school, I had a situation like that. A road was closed down. It was in Danvers. There's a tree and a pole set back. Then they had a big sign on the road saying road closed. Well, by the time I'm out on the road and I'm finally able to see the front end of my car is in a lane of traffic, and 18-wheeler is coming down the road, T-boned my friend and I, and we rolled a few times. And it goes into, at that time I was, I think, 17 years old. But if you're actually looking at a old aging population that would be exiting this facility, that was a big part for me, that if you have something that close, while it's only a pole and it might only be about a foot wide, that foot can make a big difference if someone's running or everything else when we have people moving about, just to make that safe. So I'm happy with that. I, once again, would like to see the public speak on this. I would like to actually later on see this continued, though, to see if we could potentially put things where that gas line is, and to have a plan, too, that shows these new locations that you're willing to do for the poles. Just primarily due to this, the way this is currently written, it says on it, the essential part of it is that they can change things later on, and it's in accordance to this plan. So I'd like us to get this right from the start. This is not a plan that's for a year or two. This is a plan pretty much for a generation, and it's on one of the major entrance corridors, and I know you're just one part of it, but I'd like to get it moved along. But just the speed of getting information for this, I'd first contacted even prior to the last meeting, and back in February when we had an initial pole relocation, my concern then too was relocating a pole in the sightlines. And at that time, I actually went into planning department. They were very helpful. They were mapping out with me and measuring out with me and showing what that location was. But that was my primary concern then, and I remain concerned for that. If we're planning this at the same time we're planning major roadway improvements that are millions and millions of dollars, I'd rather do it right from the start and make it safe for everybody. And things like that 2 foot, like I said, it would be out of a bike lane then, or hopefully. That's could cost someone their life. When you ride over something like that, it can get wet, you fall, ride it down, and people do ride in the winter. I know a lot of people that get to the train that way. And additionally with that, on that stretch of Bridge Street, the road sometimes in the winter, it gets warped. I don't know if it's a proximity to the canal or whatever else, but the last thing we need to do is put something like that in a lane like that, knowing that we have those issues every year, not even where the cars drive. The issues I've had since being a counselor, they're always on the middle of the road, right where the yellow lines are. We get these moon craters. So later on, I would like to move to have you come back, see what we can work out for prices. If it's not that much of a difference for price, I think it's worth it to plan accordingly. It's one thing if it's there, it's another if we're knowing it's not the best choice and then just agreeing to do it anyway. But I would thank you for coming back and forth with answers along the way for this particular project.
Any other councilors have any questions before we open it up to public comment?
I don't know. Just want to ask this.
Council Sargent?
I have a constituent with an email me about moving one telephone pole farther down the street towards St. James. How far along are we going to continue with underground utilities before we start going back up on the telephone poles?
The first pole, if you have a copy of the sketch, but it's basically just beyond the property line between number 401, which is the new senior center, and the adjacent property. So, as council mentioned, we're trying to get that pole about 15 feet away from where the new driveway will enter Bridge Street. So that'll be the first pole where we'll be rising up on.
Is there any chance of continuing on underground down towards Flint Street so we have that whole corridor without wires?
We can always consider that, but it's additional cost. We need to bring 3 circuits above ground, so it's a pretty congested area, and we have junction poles, so it gets more and more difficult as you get closer to Flint Street.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other councilors? No? Okay. We'll open it up to the public. We'll start on this side. Anybody in favor? Like to speak in favor of this matter? We'll come over here. Anybody in favor? No? Okay, we'll start back over here. Anybody opposed? Okay, watch your head. Come on up. You could just state your name and your address for the record, please, sir.
My name is Joseph O'Neill. I live at 3.5 Essex Street. Listed in National Grid, it seems like it's totally possible to move the manholes and the utilities out of the bike infrastructure. So I would like to see them come back with that estimate. I also want to point out that there's a development around the corner with 110 proposed units. And if each person has 2 cars in that unit, we're looking at, what, 200, 300 additional cars coming into the city. So I would like to see an emphasis on alternative transportations that will get people out of congested areas into walking, into biking, where they don't have to avoid sewer drains or manhole covers. I'd also like to see a maintenance plan wrote out that when maintenance is performed on these manholes, where if they are being put into the bike lanes, where bike traffic is going to be routed to. If it's going to go into the street, where collisions can happen where they usually happen, or if they will be going to the pedestrian area. That's about it.
Okay, thank you.
My name's Paris Bresco. I live at 19 Cross Street, and coming here tonight, glad to hear things might change with the plan. So I just wanted to come and make sure that it was known that I was against the existing plan, and it seems like things may change, so happy to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else opposed? Jen?
Hi, Jen Meager, 27 Lemon Street. It does sound like it should be a fairly easy fix to make the plan more in compliance with the Complete Streets program. So I'm just hoping that we can come back and reevaluate it and make it a little bit better for everyone from the start. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Joanne McRae, 386, Essex Street. And I also want to, I thank our board counselor, Heather, for bringing this up. And I would agree in terms of looking at transportation. I am a bike rider, and as long as it's above 40 degrees, which it is often in the winter, I will bike. And so as we're doing our forward planning, I think it would be good for National Grid, listening to what he said, for them to make the change now, so things don't have to get ripped up again. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Brendan Murphy, 19 East Collins Street. I would like to thank the Ward 2 councilor because she basically brought up all my concerns. If we could bring the poles, shift them away from the driveway, and ideally the manholes out into it to be in compliance with Complete Streets, that would be great. And if we have a chance to do this right from the start, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll keep going around this way.
Sorry. Leanne O'Neill at 55 Buffum Street. Like other people have said here, I really want to impress the need for safety for walkers, bikers. Too much traffic in the city already. There's going to be more. I think we need to take that seriously, and it should be first priority.
Thank you.
Hi, Alexa Anyo, 180A Federal Street. I am an abutter to the Gateway Center. I'm a cyclist, a walker, and a driver. I love the idea of Complete Streets. I'm glad that that pole is hopefully being moved. And I don't know if are drainage issues any part of this as well, or no? No. Okay. Anyway, I understand that, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that the Complete Streets, whatever, statement thing, policy applies exactly in this case, but I think if we're going to say that we're a Complete Streets community and a senior-friendly community, that we need to address those issues even if it's not technically speaking applicable here, it should the spirit of that policy should infuse all of our street planning issues. And I'm glad that that pole is being moved, and if the manhole covers can be moved out of the bike path, that would be great. It does get wet in that area. I don't know if you've ever seen it at high tide in the rain. I have video from out my back window. But yes, anything we can do to keep that dry and safe and bike-friendly would be great. And all of the, as the other speaker said, if we're getting all this extra residential development there, the only way Salem can get more people
is to have them travel not one in a car, but by other methods, and this is the way to do it. So thank you, and please keep the bikes and pedestrians in mind.
Thank you.
Hi, Eric Papetti of 11 Simon Street, and I'm in favor of this, but I have some questions. So I guess the biggest question relates to the combination of the fact that the design for Bridge Street is still really in development. It's not even at 25% yet. And on the other hand, the placement of these manhole covers is kind of an inherently imprecise process. And my concern here is what happens if they go out there, they find, oh my gosh, there's a pipe in the ground, the only place we can put it is over here. And then we get back into a conversation with Stantec and suddenly find that our design options are limited because there are manhole vaults in the way. So I don't know what the solution for that is exactly. I know that some city staff have been working really hard to answer a lot of questions that have come up around this, and I really appreciate it. But I would just love to hear if there's an opportunity to hear from them or other parties, like what's the backup plan if they run into that issue, and how will you even know if you're running into that issue since the 25% design isn't done yet? I'm not sure if it would make sense to wait another 2 weeks. And it's not really clear to me that waiting 2 weeks necessarily means that the Community Life Center is delayed by 2 weeks. It doesn't seem like an exact one-for-one trade-off, since we've heard there isn't really a date set yet. But that was my biggest concern around this. But otherwise, thrilled to see utilities going underground in this project happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone, Flora?
Flora Tonthat, 30 Northeast Street. I really want to thank Heather for bringing this up. I really want to commend her for doing this. It's great that we have, Imagine Salem, we had the Complete Streets Initiative and the Salem for All Ages, and I really, but I as we can see, it's really hard to do things in a holistic way, and it takes more communication, it might delay time, and you have the pressure projects and stuff, but I really appreciate y'all working, to make it happen and to take the holistic approach to incorporate all these initiatives that we think are great, but when it comes to the nuts and bolts, it's really difficult. Thank you for
Thank you.
continuing efforts.
Anyone else from the public like to speak? Okay, we have members of the administration here. I don't know if the mayor would like to address us, or?
I really want to thank Dave and Andrew and the team from Stantec, and Heather and everyone who's raised, sort of how do we get to the point where I think we all want to be. We have a complete streets policy in Salem. We're really working hard to implement new projects that incorporate that into them. We are super excited about the work in this corridor and what it's going to mean for that whole Blubber Hollow neighborhood, where we are seeing some growth, and to be able to improve the corridor in the manner that we are proposing to will be a big win, I think, for those of us who are new to that corridor or existing folks living in Salem, and it dovetails with all the work we're doing with the bike share program and lots of good stuff going on. The tricky part is getting it all to match up in a coordinated timeline with some of the work that's already underway and the work that needs to happen, and I think for us, that's the real struggle. So let me see if I can break it into two separate things that I think are happening, and then invite the team up to maybe answer some of the technical details. One is we are redesigning this corridor in accordance with both the Gateway Center project and the Mass Works grant. So we got some state funding to help us improve this corridor, tying into the Good Huge Street and all the development that's happening in that area. We also have the Gateway Center project, which includes the Community Life Center and the residential project that are moving forward. They have some work to do in this area as well. We are, as you know, trying to advance the Community Life Center project as fast as we possibly can because our current building's in rough shape, and we want to try and get in the ground for construction July. That's been our timeline, so it's about a one-year construction process, so that means next July we'll actually be in the building. One of the hardships of starting that vertical construction is what we're doing with the electric lines. So if the lines, those poles need to come down and we're going to bury them underground, hooray for that. That's a $250,000 expense that we're taking on because we think it adds value to the corridor to do it right, as folks have talked about. So it's going to be wonderful to see us have this dedicated bike lane in a manner that allows us to really make it safe for cyclists going forward. The tricky part is we need to have all that work line up as quickly as possible so that we can start the vertical construction. We've been working with National Grid. Thank you to Dan Cameron and his team for all that they're doing to help us match up when we want to start construction. We really can't start construction in earnest until the poles are down and relocated because of the nature of the construction activity and the pilings and the heavy equipment that need to go on the site. On the one hand, we need to get going with the CLC. On the other hand, we're definitely at the beginning stages of the design work for the roadway, which will have all the layout in terms of where manholes are, what's underneath the ground. It's not a whole new street that we're planning. We have to deal with some of the things that are already here, trying to find out how best to mitigate and move things around to ensure that we end up with the best corridor possible. There's still, I would think, specifics that we don't know that we're still trying to work through. We were actually hoping that the petition to move the poles, that's what we're talking about, could be granted so we could get moving. You've got to schedule teams. There's engineering work that needs to go on in National Grid. Getting National Grid to do that work themselves and get their teams lined up and be ready to do that is a precise art. And Dan Cameron and his team have been working to make that happen. Every time we delay the petition process because we haven't moved the design process along, it does put delays. It does push out our ability to match up our construction schedule on the Community Life Center. I think we all share the same goal. We're working hard with Stantec and our engineering team and our Traffic and Parking Commission and our Bicycle Committee to make sure that what we develop is a pathway and a corridor that we can all be proud of. I think the timing of delaying things is problematic in terms of the CLC construction. We'd love to be able to have our cake and eat it too, and by that I mean approve the petitions going forward while we're continuing to work on how we make sure if the gas line can be moved, that's great. If we can get everything in that corridor and ensure that we're in compliance with our complete streets policy. This proposed plan is, but we'd like to make it, as good as we can be, not just in compliance, but ensure that some of those flush-mounted, the top side, as I refer to it, flush-mounted cast irons, drain irons, anything that we can move out of the bike way would be terrific and onto the roadway. I think there's some questions that we still have to figure out with regard to that. Is that fair? Maybe Dave or Andrew, if there's anything else to add to that from a technical nature? And we're happy to answer questions. I think we all share the same goal, having a great corridor and having a Community Life Center project start as soon as possible. The question for us is, can we grant these petitions and work on the other aspects of it while we're doing that? I think the answer to that is yes. We've done a lot of work between February when this was filed to now to try and make sure that, we end up with a corridor that everyone can appreciate and value.
Any questions? No? Councilor Famico? Oh, Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recommend that we move this along and let the construction happen, so it'll speed up the senior center, but do it in a way that we require National Grid to meet with the city and to really take a hard look with the city engineer at moving the structures, the manhole covers out of crosswalks, out of the driveways, and out of the bike lane itself. Let's move it forward.
Councilor Terrio, Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. In regards to this, I look here, one of the things we have here is guidance from our Traffic and Parking Director, and his charge is to deal with our complete streets policy and to deal with all our transportation options and all the alternatives here. And one of the things I'll point out, because I know everybody in the room doesn't have a copy of this, he agrees very much that the utility pole should be moved to enhance sight lines, the one closest to the Community Life Center entrance. He also supports trying to move manholes out of the bike lanes. But even given that, if it turns out that those kind of changes are not possible, we are still within our complete streets policy. It's a matter we have to consider all the potential modes of transportation, including bicycles, including pedestrians, and including cars, as much as many of us, even those of us who own them, hate them. as he points out, he has been working with the city, with Stantec, the consultant, with National Grid, and they do expect they will be able to move the utility pole to improve the sight lines, and they will work to make sure that the manholes are out of the bike lanes. And this is the problem here, is that the Community Life Center needs to get moving. I was sitting in this room roughly 5 years ago, when we finally voted to put in the funding to get this done. And we're still waiting for the shovel to go into the ground after those 5 years. So, we finally have a timetable. We got the update on that the last meeting. They expect to start construction at long last this summer. And that's a project that's ready to go with all its permits in place. Meantime, we have a street redesign process that is just in the early stages. And we have things that are dependent. The utility work here is dependent. The putting power lines underground is something that we all want to do whenever possible. I have a good friend who still nags me on a roughly weekly basis that, why didn't we put them underground on Canal Street? So, well, did you have an extra $5 million to spend on it? And this is a chance where we can do it. We can make this corridor more attractive. And we're going to have to figure out, as this design goes forward, how to make sure these manhole placements and how these conduit placements work best to avoid problems with where the bike lane design goes. And this design is going to have to take all that into account. But we're really early in that design process, but we're at a critical point in the Community Life Center process. And for me, I think there are things that we can do, there are engineering things that can be done to mitigate this and to make sure that this is as safe and as effective as possible, and to build the best road that we can possibly build. But I am prepared to move forward with this and let the design process solve most of this. I know the commitment is there for the city to try and make this work.
Councilor Fumiko.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to note I spoke with one of the gentlemen at Stantec earlier today, and he said to me that they should be able to get the bike plans within to 25% design within the next 2 weeks, which at that point, with 25% design, that's your layout for your street. So at that point, we would know where things are going. I'd also like to say is, while now the poles are being looked at as being relocated, and people are agreeing that these changes should be made, for the poles in particular, I brought that back up in February. The first time I even contacted about this particular petition was even prior to our last council meeting on April the 25th. And the plans I got, I'd asked for a week later. I got the plans last Friday, not labeled, with everything. Got some new plans this week on Monday that were labeled, went back with other questions. As far as those poles being relocated, that wasn't until earlier today that when Stantec came back and they came with answers and said, well, it should be, all the other ones have that sight line, but this one should move further along. It could be further away to make it so people can see better. So I'd say with that, that's a big part of pushing it, and I don't feel comfortable moving this along and giving it to others and saying, okay, move along. If we're the council, we don't get to put conditions on everything, and we don't often get petitions before us. But when we have a petition before us now and we're voting on it, we should make sure it's what we want for our city, especially with those in account for it. I would like to have that 2 weeks to have them come back before us and tell us how much extra would it be if we moved it over? How much would it be to remove the gas? Can we move that over there instead of relying on it? Because once we give this permission, if you look at what this says here, it says, I'll actually look up the language I was not going to read before. Set substantially at points indicated upon the plan marked. So upon the plan. We're approving this plan, although it's not to scale, it goes into if there's changes that can happen. I don't want to delay the Community Life Center. Actually, years ago when the good at-large councilor across from me was the council president at the time, we had a meeting for that center at the senior center. I was the youngest person there by decades. And spoke at the end and said, I hope this will happen when I'm older, but also it's a community life center for all ages, and all ages get places different ways. I would like to know what is the cost for putting it elsewhere. I would like to know if we can get this gas line removed instead of keeping it in place and just have it done right from the start. And I'd if this can go to my committee tonight, I could hold this next week. I'd be more than happy to do that. If Stantec can get us those 25% design plans within the next 2 weeks, and then also if Grid can come back with those numbers and also the other locations. We're taking a huge risk here, and while it might be okay with complete streets, I can say in the city of Cambridge, for example, when they're putting in new bike lanes, they're moving the utilities outside of that area. We're looking to potentially add them to that area. It just seems kind of not smart to me. And I think it's also having to go back and forth and pull up these plans and look at different things. And earlier today, when I found out the gas is getting relocated, I had someone overlay the gas with the other to see would there be room and would it work. I think those are the things we need to look at. And as the council, then when we're approving something like this, we need to make sure it's done right and not just hope for the best after the fact. We have a lot of people who contacted us for this. I thank them all. The people here tonight, and then we also received, I think 14 different emails from different people, and these are people from within the ward that this is located in other parts of the city and of all different ages. It's a big thing. I don't think that waiting and having a plan coming back that actually shows the poles where they should go and exploring these different options is an issue. Because if these questions had been asked before by those involved in the planning of this, we wouldn't even be here right now. Or wouldn't be here for this part of the meeting as continuing part. But the poles in particular, I was told, hey, it's not a problem. It's a problem. With manholes, I just don't know why we would knowingly do that without exploring and seeing what would the additional cost be if we put it elsewhere. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy, Councilor Fury.
Thank you, Madam President. Obviously, we want to try to it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act of we're taking telephone poles out of a narrow sidewalk that are impeding traffic, and so we're making it more pedestrian friendly. And now, what we're trying to do is we as a council are trying to engineer a road project. Okay? I'm going to tell you from experience, and the city engineers here, we can waive the rules and ask them to speak. We'll actually still about public forum.
Public hearing still, yeah.
You start digging a hole in the ground, I don't care where part of the city you're in. I don't care what map you have that tells you what line is supposed to be, it's not going to be there. It's not going to be there. That's why they put the disclaimer on you. We tonight could say, okay, get a verbal agreement that they're going to slide that manhole 2 feet out, which means they're going to try to move a vault that's probably about the size of all these desks that's buried in the street. If you can tell me that you can slide that vault 2 feet, they're going to say they can try, but the field conditions may limit their ability to do that, and that's why they put a disclaimer in there. So we can say that, okay, the gas line's running through there, and you've got road work, road construction, that everything's at a different level, but if you got an 8-inch water main through there, and now you're gonna put electrical over the top of that, when that water main breaks, and you have to spend countless more hours fixing or repairing that water line because now you've located something over the top of it, in which I saw firsthand in the middle of Hawthorne Boulevard and Congress in Derby, where they all come together, where there was a huge water main break. They had to pull the guys out of the hole because of the 2 transmission lines that were running across it to wait for them to reroute electricity. So people were without water for, some of the businesses down there were without water for over a day until they could reroute some of the water. So if you're going to tell people, whoever are fed by that 8-inch water main, that they're going to be without water for an extended period of time because of the repair work necessary, I'm not sure that could happen, but it may. Right now, that from the information they have with what the maps they show, this is where the path of probably least of resistance and where they think the manholes will fit. The manholes may not go there. They may go out, they could go in, hopefully they go out. We're all hoping for that. But we're not engineers. Until someone puts a shovel in the ground, it's a conceptual plan, and the bike path, is, we all know, wants to go around, hugs the curb line. We all agree into that. So if the manhole can move out a little bit, that's great. We can move this forward and allow them to do their jobs and go down, dig the hole. And if they can slide that out 2 feet, 3 feet, that's great. But if they can't, because of the existing conditions, they may have to move, they may have to orientate it a different way, slide it a different way. We don't know that because we're not engineers, when we're not in the ground digging holes. When we approve a plan, it's the concept of the plan. We're gonna take the wires off the poles, they have to go down underground, then they have to come back up. We move, everyone's in agreement, move the pole. But where those lines end up in the ground is a tricky situation. Because there are a lot of things down there that we all don't look at because they're underground. And they shift, they move. They say it's here, it could be here. So I support the ward councilor. I'm inclined to move this forward and allow those guys to do their work. I don't think we need to bring people back in to tell us that, okay, we're conceptually going to move the line 2 feet, and then 2 weeks from now they dig a hole and they find there's something there that they didn't know was there. Something was left off a plan or something moved some different way, and then they have to reorientate it. And they're going to do it. Field conditions are going to allow them to do that. So all we're going to tell them is field conditions allow you to slide that thing 2 feet out, please do it. But if they don't, then it's 2 manholes in a quarter mile.
Thank you. Councilor Fury?
Madam President, well, many of us have seen the Grand Canyon and know the beautiful Mother Nature there in the Grand Canyon. Most of us can now see Salem in the most challenging area of Blubber Hollow. My father worked there, there's a lot of work, and my brothers and sisters worked there in the leather factory. We can visibly see our own Grand Canyon there. You can see the Flint Hand being torn down now, Flint Hand, and see the 3 different levels that development's going to take place. This is a very challenging area. As a dean of the city council, as a senior citizen, it would be a deep injustice to delay or defer this. So many people are waiting for the Community Life Center, named after our mayor and the former city councilor. Many people have wondered in their lifetime, will we ever see a Community Life Center? We've come too far. This project is too critical for the city of Salem. Blubber Hollow should not be known as Blubber Hollow. This should be a really beautiful center, and this is a major investment in the city of Salem. To defer anymore, I want to see it before a senior senator. I'm a senior citizen now. I'm the oldest person in the city council now. I'm wondering, if I ever get to see it. I want to see that shovel foot. I want to see the construction going on this summertime. To delay or defer, we can all see what's going on now. We see Councilor McCarthy with his experience in construction. We can all see it visibly. It doesn't take an engineer to see it. We have an engineer to see it. To delay or defer anymore would be an injustice to senior citizens, the city of Salem, to Blubber Hollow. We need to move on it. Thank you.
Councilor Sargent? No?
Oh, that would be just a little bit. I know thank you, Madam President. I know the ward council's put a lot of work into this, and I respect it. And she's asking good questions. And with all that's gone on at that site, or not gone on at that site over the last 5 years, I don't see 2 weeks as really holding us up here. And as an example, if questions had been asked about 20 years ago when they redid Bridge Street, Boston and Bridge Street would have crossing lights. When I first come on the council, a constituent asked me about crossing lights there, and the conduit wasn't put in underneath there. And somebody didn't ask the kind of questions that Councilor Fumiko's asking right now. So let's give her credit for asking those questions and trying to get something right, rather than have it be done and say, maybe we could have done this if we had a meeting and talked about it. So I think we should defer to the ward council who's done a lot of work on this. Thank you.
Councilor Fury?
Madam President, could we have, if I may, Mr. Knowlton speak on this topic?
Yeah, public hearing is still open if you choose to, Mr. Knowlton. Sure.
Good evening. I'm David Knowlton, the city engineer. All great discussions this evening. Very good questions that the councilor has raised. I think the team is very well coordinated. We have our goal is to get the construction started on the timeline that's been established. We will do everything we can to accommodate the concerns. If we can move those structures, we will move them. I echo Councilor McCarthy's concerns that you really don't know until you start digging in the ground. Do you know what you have to, that you're going to be actually dealing with? Things are never what you expect, but you know, we're doing our due diligence. We have a very strong engineer behind us doing the engineering work. It's well coordinated with planning, and we're working closely with National Grid, so we expect the project to go smoothly. We will do everything we can to keep any kind of structures out of that bike path. We think this can move along as has been proposed to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree completely the amount of work that the Ward 2 councilor has done on this, that she's really been a bulldog on this and has, and this has been a big issue to her for quite some time. This is a significant area of the city as well, where it's the, it is our version of Four Corners where four wards meet. And in that section, it's this big development opportunity that we've been trying to get moving for a long time. The thing is, to me, and this is why I would like to move this forward, we could bring this we could refer this out to committee, and we could have the committee meet, and they could have a design plan in a week that's a little bit farther along. But as my colleague from Ward 1 said, the reality on this is going to be that when they open up the ground, that's when they're going to know for sure what they can and can't do. And we're not going to have, until we authorize them to open up the ground, we're not going to have an answer, a definitive answer. They have a plan right now based on what they believe is down there. They have some leeway in that plan, but until they actually go in there and start doing the work, we don't know exactly what is going to line up. And that's the thing with almost any construction project that happens in the city, as we all well know. So I would like to give them the opportunity to get this thing underway, and I know that I believe that in this case, and as in pretty much every case, the engineering department, all the city departments that are working behind this, they want this to produce the kind of roadway and bike path that everybody here is going to be happy to use and that's going to be safe and effective. I think that that's in the interest of everybody involved in this. So, I want to move forward and give them the authorization to proceed and let them work to try and get us the best possible result.
Thank you. We haven't closed the public hearing yet, just to remind everybody. Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Councilor Milo. So the civil engineering plans do have a rough estimate, like I said, where gas and water and sewer are. That's a rough estimate for that. I know there is a way to do some test borings to see where things are located, but just to reiterate, it's not just the relocation. I'd also like to explore the cost of if we put it where we know there's definitely not anywhere. If it's not too much more, we're spending things on even this agenda tonight. Then if it's just going to be something similar, I'd rather just have them come back. It's not even looking at different plans, but looking at what that cost would be. And also, it just bothers me in general, we leave things in our streets. We ran into it on Essex Street recently. And the Traffic and Parking Commission and the Bike Committee did meet on this. They met at the beginning of April to look at plans. This petition wasn't submitted until the end of April, so we knew things were coming along. But with that, if there's nobody else to speak, I'd like to move to close the public hearing.
Okay, Councilor Famico moves to close the public hearing. All those in favor? All those opposed? Public hearing is closed. Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. Further move that this be referred to Public Health, Safety, and Environment co-posted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
I don't know if we're on the first hearing or second. We kind of lumped everything together here.
What's that?
We lumped everything together.
Right, so, basically, right, we've talked about two separate hearings altogether, but we'll just vote on both of them? Separately.
I'd like to move it goes there, but with information coming back to us and giving a chance for Stantec to get to those 25% design, that we explore the cost of putting this elsewhere in the street. And also, if we look at, if we slid this over to where the gas line currently is, could this alleviate all of the issues? And big part is we can put conditions on it. It's before the council now, and Grid's coming before us.
Okay, any more discussion? Councilor Lovely?
Yeah, discussion. I've been in Councilor Famico's shoes as a ward councilor. I'm hoping that other ward councils will support the ward council. It's 2 weeks. She's worked very hard. This is the neighborhood that she represents, and she knows a lot more about it than all of us do because she's put the time in. And I don't think 2 weeks is going to be a difficult burden on us moving forward. So as a fellow ward council, I would be supporting the ward council putting it into committee.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to also reiterate what my colleague across the aisle said about Council Famico. She was sending me YouTube videos all day with people on bikes. And I watched them. I was like, okay, what is this? The guy's bouncing, goes over a manhole cover, his head goes, he's wearing a camera on his helmet, whatever he's wearing. I understand that, but once again, I'm just going to put my construction hat on. And trust me, I'm not a big major construction guy. I put additions on people's homes, kitchens, whatever, but I understand contracting, and I also understand that 2 weeks seems minimal to this group and everyone in this room, but 2 weeks on the construction side is you lose a contractor. So if you lose a contractor, say hypothetically it's the pile driver. The pile driver's been given a schedule and he's been told he's going to start, and he's the key piece on, I'm assuming, this center, whoever's going to put the footings in. And they're going, because it's Phil Tylen's, they're going to shake him in, or whatever system they're using. If you lose that guy because you delay for 2 weeks, that means he could go take another job, and that means it's 2 weeks here, but it could be 6 to 8 weeks on the job because you've lost him. Because he's not going to sit around and wait 2 weeks for some plan to come back. So there's a timeline in place, and part of that timeline is to move this forward to allow Grid to get themselves geared up. In my opinion, what should happen is we should move to grant and then refer to committee and then have them come in and say, okay, what's the result? You guys are geared up, you're ready to go, can you move it? And if they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. But once again, it comes down to the caveat that's in any of these construction documents that we read from Grid. General location. It could be a foot this way, a foot that way, it could be 10 feet, it could be wherever. It's their best guess where the manhole can go. I don't care how long we have to wait for a plan to come back, it's still going to be their best guess. And it could still move because of field conditions.
Is that a motion?
No.
Oh, okay. Any other discussion? No? Okay, on Councilor Famico's motion that this be moved to Public Health and Safety?
Co-posted.
Co-posted with the Committee of the Whole?
Yeah, Krista, roll call, please.
3 hands? Okay. Madam City Clerk?
Actually, Madam President, could I add one more thing prior to voting?
I'm sorry?
Could I add one more thing? Do you mind?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. Just like to say, though, if we grant it, it's granted. People can come back and tell us whether it works or not. And that's not even exploring cost of elsewhere. That's just having them come back and they might say it might work, it might not. It's not saying, can you give us a cost estimate on if we were going to put it on the other side of the street, which, looking at civil engineering plans, I'm not an engineer at all. I can tell you I was looking at what these different legends were and everything, but on those plans there wasn't anything on the other side, and now they're moving their gas to that other side, probably for the same reason. So I'd just like to know if that's possible, and not just grant it, because at that point there's really no reason to come back. Thank you, Madam President.
Madam City Clerk?
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
If I may.
Certainly.
So we've lumped both these petitions together. And if I may, the question I guess to Grid would be, is Grid still going to be doing their gas work regardless of this? If I can ask that question, can I be indulged in that?
Yeah, you want to suspend?
Can I suspend the rules because the hearing's been closed?
Question is, are we still going to be doing the gas work? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes, because of the condition of the pipe, you know, we want to replace it, you know, ahead of all the...
Because of all the borings and all the shaking that's going to go on when they put the...
Not only that, but the condition of the pipe anyway, it's on our list to replace, so it makes good reason to do it now before the street will be finished.
Okay.
And could I add something else, or is that?
Sure.
Okay. All great discussion here this evening. I think Councilor McCarthy brings up a great point. I think we've had several site meetings out there. We've worked extensively with Stantec on very precise drawings, on the best information we have right now. National Grid will make every attempt to get these manholes out of the bike path. All right, the manholes are at the center of the covers are at the center of the manhole. But I don't think we as National Grid can do any more other than doing test pits, which is always what we do. We do extensive dig safe and, a more technical approach to see before we put the shovel in the ground. We will be doing that, and we'll be doing test pits. I don't think in the next 2 weeks we're going to have any more information other than to tell you that we will do our best to move these manholes out of the bike path. I think we've done everything possible in the last, several months, working with your staff and Stantec. So,
Okay. Can we suspend the rules to allow the mayor to speak? No objection?
Thank you. And I just, I guess I want to echo some of the comments from other councilors and thanking Councilor Fumiko for being so on top of this and working to get the best possible corridor we can. But I really do believe we can have our cake and eat it too. We share the same goal of having the best corridor we possibly can. Everybody on this team, from National Grid to Stantec, our contractor, to our planning staff who are managing the Mass Works grant, and our city engineer, are working to try and make sure that we don't have obstructions within the bike path. We're creating this awesome bike path. We want to make sure we're maximizing that opportunity. But these are working, these is like a critical path timeline for the Community Life Center, and we're still very much at the beginning stages around the design issues, and then we have to bring in existing infrastructure and working with National Grid. We are committed to trying to figure this out and coming back with information. If there's anything at all that we can do reasonably to avoid having manhole covers or subsurface treatments that are detrimental to biking, we are going to do that. The question is, for us, if we don't get this petition approved tonight, there's all these steps that go into getting crews lined up, getting permission to move the poles. We can come back and talk about those findings, that information. As soon as we have it, we've been trying to provide it. So if it's at all possible, we will do it. If it's something that costs $100,000, we need to come back and talk about what are the trade-offs. There are other things in the project that we might not be able to get done in the Mass Works project. I'm happy to have that conversation and not just say no, but come back and talk with you about what those trade-offs are. I would love for us to be able to keep the CLC project moving forward, get the crews going with National Grid, allow the contractor to then start the piling work so we can get vertical construction as soon as possible, while also doing the additional due diligence on the bike path and understanding what we can and can't do with respect to moving things out of the bike lane. We're committed to that regardless of what happens here this evening, but if we don't move the petition, we're slowing down the CLC. Well, we're still going to look at that bike path and try and do everything we can to ensure that the subsurface or the surface is as clear of manholes and drain lines and things that we can that are practicable and affordable, and come in and talk about that going forward. And just what's below the ground. Some of these are questions that we don't know the answer to right now, and it's going to take us a little bit longer than 2 weeks to find out for sure. So I hope this can be something that we advance in a way, and you have our assurances that we're doing everything we can to make that bike path not just meet our complete streets policy, but be as safe and as accessible as we can for bikers and walkers and anybody else.
Thank you. Okay, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll on Councilor Fumiko's motion to move this to committee?
Madam President, can we come on point is, through you, I'm trying to keep this the simplest terms, and all this work is being proposed on Bridge Street, and I really feel like the project can go forward whatever way it must on the private property that's the Community Life Center, while we wait a week or two on the work that's being done on Bridge Street. There's a property line there. We're going to be out on the street with this work. That work is on the property. They can drive piles or begin construction on the private property and wait a little bit to start work on the street if they have to. So I don't see how we're going to be slowing down pile drivers here. That'll be on the private property, so thank you.
Okay, Madam City Clerk.
We just wanted to clarify something, Councilor.
Oh.
Dan and I probably can take this, that we actually can't start the construction work on the vertical piles because there's a safety requirement for distance from the tension line. So that's the whole critical path schedule that is being held up. And that's why this was filed so early in February, just to get moving on it, even though National Grid hadn't even done all the field and engineering work on the pole removal. There are limitations from a safety perspective of how close the contractor can work next to that high tension wire. And so just want to share that with you. Believe me, if we didn't have to do this, I would be all for holding it up and taking the additional time that folks may want, but it will impact that schedule because of that work requirement. So, just to clarify.
Madam City Clerk, let's call the roll.
I would like to.
What was? I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Madam President. With that, though, yes, we have 2 weeks, but we've known since the beginning of this we were going to put bike lanes on Bridge Street. It's been part of discussions. And back in February, the sightline issue came up. It came back the same way now. And yes, this was filed, at the end of April, but to say again, we had our other committees looking at this even before then. And the plan of having these plans even overlaid, I didn't get until last week, and had to wait to the beginning of this week to have it labeled correctly. I just think there should have been better coordination, that it shouldn't take someone asking for these things to see how they line up with looking at one here and there. It should be done. This is millions and millions of dollars. So, but thank you. I'm done talking on this.
Thank you. Okay.
At least during this.
Third time's a charm. Madam City Clerk.
Counselor Turiel?
Nope.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
No.
Counselor McCarthy?
No.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes. No.
No. Oh my God, no.
Counselor Fury?
No.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
No.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. On Councilor Famiko's motion to move this to Public Health and Safety, we have 10 councilors voting, 1 absent, 4 in the affirmative, 6 in the negative. The matter does not carry. Councilor McCarthy.
I'll defer to the Ward 2 Council.
Councilor Famiko.
Then, with that being said, I move that this petition, as put before us, is denied.
Okay, on Councilor Famiko's motion that the petition be denied, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed?
Present.
The matter does not carry. Councilor Terrio? Councilor...
I would defer to them.
With that being said, if we're on the first hearing for this one, and we're looking at the polls, I move it be approved with the condition that the pole closest to the Gateway Center driveway be at minimum 15 feet away from the entrance, from the edge of the driveway, as we had discussed. National Grid had said that they would be okay with that, and that if for some reason it has to become closer, that matter come before us again prior to it be happening.
Second.
And I'd also like to ensure that the poles are put actually off the sidewalk. We had an instance on Canal Street that they're in the middle, and while wheelchairs can still get around them, it also faces problems for people that are visually impaired. You don't expect a pole to be in the middle. So I know that they said they do that, but I'd like that to be a condition as well for the first part of that. And for the second section, for the conduits and manholes, that the administration comes back before us to give us an update later on about whether or not it was possible to do this elsewhere, and also that they explore putting this, the electric work where the gas main is, and just not abandoning something in place.
Okay, so just so that we're clear, you went from the first hearing to the second hearing.
But we've been talking about them all together.
We've been talking about both of them, but we have to vote on the second hearing.
Right. Two votes.
Oh, then we'll do the first, so just for the first one then, for relocating, that it's at minimum 15 feet away. from the entrance, from the farthest part of the driveway.
Okay.
And that they're located closest to the property line. Nothing in the middle of the sidewalk, nothing towards the edge.
Okay, and that was seconded by Counselor McCarthy. So on Counselor Famico's motion on the first hearing, relative to the relocation of the poles, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. All right, now we're on the second public hearing. Further hearings. Madam Clerk?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
We have an order from National Grid to install conduits and manholes on Bridge Street.
Counselor Famico.
If anyone doesn't want to speak on, I move the public hearing be closed.
Counselor Famico. Counselor Terrio?
No, seconded.
Oh, okay. Counselor Famico moves that the public hearing be closed. All those in favor? All those opposed? Public hearing is closed. Counselor Famico.
I move this be referred to the Committee on Public Health, Safety, and Environment, co-posted. And we could do a roll call vote.
Is there a second? Okay, Counselor Lovely. All right, and there are 3 hands for a roll call vote? Okay. All right, so do we understand where we are on this? The motion is to move it to committee. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Terrio?
No.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
No.
Counselor McCarthy?
No.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
No.
Counselor Fury?
No.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
No.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. On the matter of moving this matter to the Committee on Public Health and Safety, we have 10 councilors voting, 1 absent, 4 in the affirmative, 6 in the negative. The matter does not carry. Councilor Famico.
Thank you. I move this be approved with the condition that the administration provide us an update after, and also that prior to this, that we can have assurance that they explored removing the gas main and not abandoning it in place and shifting this over that way. And just to see if there's other possibilities prior.
Is there a second?
With the update, it would be great to come back before us here, and also prior to the work, if we could just get an email.
Okay, seconded by Councilor Lovely. All those in favor of Councilor Famico's motion? Oh, okay. All those opposed?
Opposed.
Can we do that again? I didn't see everyone's hand go up.
Excuse me, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
President? Maybe we just get a clarification on what exactly we're voting on? Thank you.
Yes. You want to state your conditions again, your motion and your conditions again, Councilor Famico?
Yes, so we're voting for approval, but that the administration provide us an update later on, that they provide us an email prior to the work so we know if they explored the cost for other things, because if it's, like I said, if it's only $50,000, if they're going to go over to the other side, I don't know how much these things cost, but say if it's only that little bit because you're only doing a connector, then have them try that. And also that they explore removing the gas main and not abandoning it in place and putting the electric there.
Okay. So all those in favor? Okay, all those opposed?
In favor.
Sorry?
I thought you were looking at me as opposed. I'm not opposed.
You're not opposed, okay. All those opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, the matter carries.
Madam President, I'm giving notice that I'm going to move for reconsideration at the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Thank you. All right.
At that point, we'll have all 11 members.
Okay, thank you. Appointments and reappointments. Oh, Councilor Dibble.
Madam President, I move that we take the agenda out of order. We're right at the beginning of tonight's agenda, and it's pretty long, and if we can, there's quite a few people in attendance here tonight, if we can move to the second item on number 17, page 17.
What What's that, Counselor?
Second item on page 17.
Second.
Oh, okay. All right.
17. So basically, once again.
Unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 2-2064, creation of an inclusionary advisory commission.
Counselor Ryan.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. A 30-second recess, please.
They're all out.
Where,
Everybody's out.
a
just walked out.
30-second recess
30-second recess, please.
now?
Yes.
Okay, all right, everybody. Okay, unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 2-2064, creation of an inclusionary advisory commission.
Counselor Ryan.
Move for second and final passage.
Counselor Ryan moves to second and final passage. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Discussion?
Oh, discussion. Phew. Under discussion. Counselor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. As we all know, so many people are disappointed that Mr. Trump won the presidency, and maybe it is Mrs. Clinton lost the presidency. And we all know that sanctuary city status issues all across the country have been very divisive. It does not have to be this way, and I firmly believe we can find common ground and compromise on the matter. This sanctuary matter and this committee, or rather commission now, is part of the whole. The sanctuary matter and the entire way it has been presented here in Salem has been very divisive. And it has been divisive on this council.
Counselor, are you going to
Yes, Madam President, I have a couple of comments, and I'm speaking directly to the matter on the agenda.
Okay.
The good Councilor Fury, my friend, I have known for many decades. Our children have played sports together, and I was his youngest son's Boy Scout leader. When I was thinking of running for election, after I spoke with my family, he was the first person I called for advice on this. And we met, and we talked. That was to replace my friend Councilor O'Keefe's seat here on the council. I won the election, and here I am. Out of respect for the good counselor, at our second to last meeting, first meeting of April, I took a pretty strong tongue lashing from my friend across the way. And it was something that I was trying to get done simply to make the document legal. In my opinion, it was illegal what we were doing. I still feel that way. But I compromised, I sat down, and I was quiet. I took a strong tongue lashing for simply asking for one word to be edited out of the document. I'd like you all to know that should this ordinance survive the test, the petition, and be on the ballot for a vote in November, and should survive then, that the city solicitor will come back before this board with a recommendation to remove that one word from the ordinance, because we are directing the Salem police on how to do their job, and as politicians, we're not allowed to, in her opinion. In March, I was one of 5 councilors who were outvoted asking for the matter to be put on the ballot.
Counselor?
Yes.
Are you talking about the committee? It sounds like you're talking about the ordinance.
No, the commission, Madam Chair.
Are you talking about the commission?
Yes, I am. The commission and the sanctuary status were presented together as one, and they're linked. And now, recently...
So you're talking historically?
Well, historically, as of our last meeting, maybe. But the matter is still one, and I will get to the commission immediately.
Okay,
I have-
focus on the commission that's the matter before us, please.
Thank you. Let me skip ahead then. At our last meeting, 2 weeks ago, on the commission matter, the Inclusionary Advisory Commission, that's before us right now. I asked for help from the good Ward 4 counselor to assist me in getting a veteran to be placed on this commission. I got no assistance. And I advised the entire council that I'd be back before you all tonight asking for the same in a stronger way. And that's why I'm standing here today. Standing here right now asking. So let me ask that question. And I've written my motion in writing to submit to the city clerk, please. Pass it down, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow citizens, I'm continuing to stand here, and I'll speak to the matter of the commission, Madam Chair. That we honor our military veterans. The City of Salem has a long history in serving our country. For example, our National Guard was first formed here in Salem. I was disappointed, as I just said, at our last council meeting. The same meeting where, rightfully so, we named 6 squares in recognition of several Salem residents who gave their lives fighting hatred in World War II. Again, I asked the good Ward 4 councilors' help to put a veteran on the commission that he helped craft. He helped write this ordinance and helped form the body of this new commission. But again, I received no help. I explained to the council I had heard from approximately 32 veterans from Ward 7 on this sanctuary matter, the whole matter, including the commission. They voiced their concerns and had good ideas that they shared with me. Sadly, we could not see the need to put a Salem veteran on the new city commission that will fight hatred locally. I let this council know I would be back here tonight, and I ask again to allow the Salem Veterans Council and their appointed Salem veteran to have a voice on this commission. Tonight we vote to form and to second the vote on this commission called the Inclusionary Advisory Commission. That has 9 members. One counselor pointed out that we needed an odd number on this, and that's why they didn't support me at the last meeting. So I agree that committees should be formed with an odd number of members so that the tie situation is automatically eliminated. However, I strongly feel that the committee structure be revised. Therefore, I move that we honor our men and women veterans by having the Salem Veterans Council appoint 1 Salem veteran to the Inclusionary Advisory Commission. In addition, as part of my motion, that we eliminate the City of Lynn-based Essex County Community Organization member from Salem's Inclusionary Advisory Commission. I feel Salem can govern themselves and does not need directions from any groups from outside of Salem. I do realize there are some very good Salem residents. I saw 1 or 2 here tonight. Very good Salem residents who work with this Lynn-based organization called ECHO. And I would be happy to see them appointed as the mayor's representative or the council representative of this board. I urge your support as this commission will change. I urge your support as this commission change that will give the cross-section of the citizens of Salem better representation. It also honors our long tradition of having a strong patriotic population. We owe our veterans a great deal of thanks for keeping our freedom and our way of life, and they will bring a very useful perspective to this new commission. And Madam President, I ask for this by roll call vote. Thank you.
Do we have a second on Counselor Dibble's motion?
Second.
Okay, under discussion, Counselor Ryan?
Thank you, Madam President. As liaison to the Veterans Council, I brought this to their attention, and they prefer to stay out of the matter. They do not want, they have their veterans, we have a veterans agent, but there's a couple members that, hey, they want to speak, but from the people that I heard back from, they prefer, the council has 2 picks, the mayor has 2 picks. If one of them wants to be on, they can be on there. But I'd like to suspend the rules if one of the 2 veterans councilmen, Mr. Moran or Mr. Leger, want to speak. But from what I heard, they didn't want to be involved in this.
Any objection? Seeing none, gentlemen, would you like to speak?
Council President, councilors, and citizens of Salem. Oh, sorry, Mayor. We have Roger Legier, who's the president of the Salem Veterans Council, and I also am a member. We're reconsidering, and we're going to bring it before our council meeting next week, next Wednesday. And we'll come back to you with an answer. But that's where we would like to leave it at the moment.
So your input is you would like to
Well, we want to bring
suspend
it before the full Veterans Council. This is every veterans group in the city.
Yeah.
We meet once a week, and once a month, and we'll meet next Wednesday, and we'll come back to you with it.
Okay, well, that's not the motion before us, but we appreciate your input.
Seeing where it came up again.
Yeah.
That we, at the moment, we would be available, and we'll bring it to committee, and we'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right? Thank you.
Maybe we move to table this for 2 weeks?
Counselor Sargent?
Make the motion, we table this issue for 2 weeks?
To table Counselor Dibble's motion.
We have to table the whole advisory committee issue. The issue that's before us, we have to table.
Okay, so Counselor Sargent's motion is to table the whole ordinance.
Table second passage until we have a reply from the Veterans Council.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Counselor D'Amico? Okay, we'll start with that.
And
Oh, under discussion, Counselor D'Amico?
Thank you, Madam President. Not related to that, could I ask something about this entirety part at this moment, or should I wait?
It's
not debatable.
Yeah.
It's not tabling.
Yeah.
Well, not the table, but I have a...
We have to get by that, and then... Okay, so on Counselor Sargent's motion to table this, seconded by Counselor D'Amico?
Non-debatable.
No, non-debatable.
Non-debatable. Table.
It's the question of table.
Okay, all those,
Madam President?
Madam President.
it's not... it's
Non-debatable.
It's
I'm not
not...
discussing it.
No, it's...
Ask for clarification.
I'll handle this. Okay,
I'm asking for clarification. Doesn't my motion stand first and take a vote on that first?
no, the most recent motion made by Counselor Sargent is the one that takes priority. We have to vote whether or not to table it before we can decide if we can vote on your motion. Because if we table it, it's a moot point. Okay, so on Counselor Sargent's motion to table this, all those in favor? Okay, let's do it again. Count the hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, all those opposed?
Opposed.
1, 2, 3, okay. All right, the matter to table the ordinance carries. Okay. If we can go back to, Counselor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam President. Could we return back to the regular portion of the agenda? Just, I know there's a presentation that wants to be made, but there's a few people that are here for appointments and reappointments. If we just take them up first and then move to the presentation.
If we can just see, how many people are here for appointments and reappointments? Just Becky? Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's go back to Counselor, appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Rebecca Christie to serve as a member of the Commission on Disabilities with a term to expire April 13th, 2020.
Counselor Turiel.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Counselor Terrio moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. Becky is one of Salem's unsung heroes. She is active in the community. She has gotten myself and my family to jump in the ocean on New Year's for many years now. As the creator of the freezer tush-off for the Salem Food Pantry, a wonderful cause that I encourage you all to go and do, and I know nobody ever does, but and she's committed. She's an activist within the community. She's been outspoken on issues of disability. She almost learned about one firsthand earlier this winter with her snowblower. And and literally the only bad thing I can say about her is that she's a Steelers fan, but but we can't be perfect. She's close, but that's her flaw. But no, I think she'll be a wonderful addition to the Disabilities Commission. I'm really looking forward to having her voice on there. We have a really strong group in that commission, a lot of people who are very active, and I really look forward to it. I urge her confirmation by everybody.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk?
Counselor Terrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of the appointment of Becky Christie to the Commission on Disabilities, we have 10 counselors voting, 1 absent, 10 in the affirmative. The appointment carries. Counselor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to suspend the rules to allow Ms. Christie to address us if she so chooses.
Any objection? Seeing none?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I have spent 47 years of my life working with individuals with disabilities, and I'm really glad to have this opportunity to give back to the city of Salem. I've lived here for 25 years, and I am from Western Pennsylvania, so I really appreciate the opportunity to give back and continue to be a voice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we go to page 9 of the agenda, Mayor's informational page. I believe that's where we want to be. Is that correct?
I think so. Okay, page 9, Mayor's informational page. Madam Clerk?
Mayor is submitting a letter informing the City Council that May is National Historic Preservation Month and the month-long celebration of the occasion.
Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. What a great city we have. Most cities and towns would like to have 2 or 3 things that we have here. From the Salem Marine Society, Salem Historic Commission, the list just goes on to several dozen historic groups or houses and on and on. I'd like to suspend the rules to allow the mayor to address the council, please.
Okay, do you want to move that this be received and placed on file first?
First, I'd like to move and receive and place on file.
Okay, on Councilor Dibble's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Councilor Dibble.
Yes, I request to suspend the rules to allow the mayor to speak.
Seeing no objection?
Thank you. And hats off to our wonderful historic preservation partners who are here and have sat through a long meeting just to get to this part. I really appreciate it. And this is the second time they've given this presentation. As I think many of the folks in this room know, May is Preservation Month. We feel really, really grateful to be able to have so many historic assets in Salem. I often refer to it as an embarrassment of riches, but May being Historic Preservation Month, we're really trying to highlight the work of our preservation partners and feel really grateful that we have been able to hire a full-time preservation planner, both with city dollars matched by a state grant from Mass Historic. Many of you know Patty Kelleher. I'm going to bring her up in a minute to introduce the presentation. I also want to thank our partners who are volunteers, mostly volunteers, our Historic Commission, Jessica Herbert Chair, who has a wonderful presentation. This group met earlier this month for a breakfast meeting, which was a tough time and a lot of counselors couldn't attend, but we thought it was important enough of a message to bring it before the body tonight, especially considering that May is Preservation Month. Also, Emily Udi from HSI, Historic Salem, longtime partners in this work on the private side, in terms of a private nonprofit. They've done some work as part of this presentation. And Kate Fox from Destination Salem. We know that for us, historic preservation, while it provides a wonderful quality of life and certainly unique character to Salem, it also does have an economic component to it that's tied into our tourism. So this evening, we're hoping to give the presentation that was given an abbreviated version, a Reader's Digest version, the presentation that was done during our preservation breakfast. And I really just want to call out all of these folks for this month in particular, a number of workshops, a number of opportunities for us really to get our hands dirty with answering that question, why preservation matters, and also to serve as a resource to both homeowners who are stewards of these wonderful historic properties, and really build on the strong group of people who live in Salem already or who work on houses in Salem, and try and make sure that we're spreading information for folks who live here. And with that, I'll turn it over to Patty to begin the presentation.
Hi, good evening. My name is Patty Kelleher. I am the staff planner for the Salem Historical Commission, and as Mayor Driscoll said, I am the city's historic preservation planner in the Department of Planning and Community Development. I'm here tonight with Jessica Herbert of the Historical Commission, Emily Udi of Historic Salem, and Kate Fox of Destination Salem in honor of National Preservation Month, which takes place every May in communities throughout the country. To kick off Preservation Month in Salem this year, the Salem Preservation Partners, which includes 16 organizations in the city, hosted the first annual Preservation Month breakfast earlier this month. This breakfast provided an opportunity to highlight why preservation matters in Salem. History is intrinsic to Salem's cultural identity and sense of place. The current citywide initiative, Imagine Salem, has highlighted just how important Salem's history is to our community. In fact, Salem's history is one of the most frequently listed answers to Imagine Salem's question, what do you love most about Salem? Historic preservation seeks to protect the physical links to this history. In addition to preserving Salem's historic buildings and assets, historic preservation also serves as a catalyst for economic development in the city, provides environmental benefits, and fosters social connectivity and community pride. Tonight, we would like to present an abbreviated version of the Why Preservation Matters in Salem presentations that were held at the breakfast earlier this month. I'd like to welcome Kate Fox will present first.
I didn't get properly trained. Good evening. I'm going to speak specifically to the economic benefits of heritage tourism. And I do want to state, though, that it's also important to note the positive impact of preservation on home property values, business property values, sense of community, sense of place, etc. There is overlap between all these things with heritage tourism, but I'm going to stick with what I know. Salem is a... There it is. Preservation in Salem is important because a great place to live is a great place to visit. Most visitors come to Salem to learn the story, the history, and to be immersed in the correlating time and place. Without preservation, the rich fabric that makes Salem a wonderful place to live and visit would erode into an unsustainable destination. Cultural heritage tourists spend more money, stay longer, and tend to return to a destination. Heritage tourists who are coming to Salem come to be immersed in the sense of place that they find here. They love it and they return multiple times, spending money on accommodations, meals, admission tickets, gifts, and souvenirs. We can contrast Salem's heritage tourists with visitors who come for a moment in time, usually the Salem witch trials story. These visitors come for that one story and may include other Massachusetts stories like the Freedom Trail, Lexington and Concord, the Mayflower in the same trip.
They are on a mission to experience the moment, and they come with blinders on. There's overlap. There's definitely a gray area in these two types of tourists we have, but the heritage tourists are prone to come more for the experience and to see the people around them and the places, and they want their visit to have more depth to it. Three components to heritage tourism are authenticity, to preservation and tourism: authenticity, heritage tourism, and visitor spending. With authenticity, I'm going to contrast two different destinations in Pennsylvania so as to not offend anybody in Salem. And I'm not saying that, I have a picture up here of Hershey's Chocolate World in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and I don't want to say that Hershey, Pennsylvania is not authentic. It does tell a story and it engages more than 1.4 million people in a year, but the experience is manufactured and commercialized in order to get as many people through the experience in as short of time as possible. More amusement than attraction, Hershey Chocolate World bills itself as a factory tour that is actually a ride through holograms and animatronic mooing cows. And there's nothing wrong with that. My kids really enjoyed it, but it's not the preservation story we're looking for. Gettysburg, however, can be juxtaposed with Hershey's Chocolate World. Gettysburg National Military Park sees over 1 million visitors a year as well. It is a preserved place, conserved landscape, and preserved stories. Gettysburg is an authentic, historic, educational, entertaining destination. These two destinations appeal to different audiences, and while there is some overlap, the traveler we are interested in Salem is the person who goes to Gettysburg again and again, just as the heritage tourists to Salem come several times in order to fully understand the rich stories we have here. Happy to say my family likes Gettysburg more. In heritage tourism, we are very lucky to both have the National Park Service and the Essex National Heritage Area as in the north of Boston region, and as these are the brand standard for authentic American experiences. The National Trust for Historic Preservation tells us that linking tourism and preservation can do more for local economies and for tourism and preservation than promoting them separately. That is the core idea in heritage tourism. Save your heritage, share it with visitors, and reap the economic benefits of tourism. 78% of U.S. leisure travelers, 118 million adults, participate in cultural and/or heritage activities when traveling. Cultural heritage travelers spend on average $994 per trip, compared to $611 for all U.S. travelers. Cultural heritage travelers took an average of 5 trips in 2008-2009, compared to slightly less than 4 trips for non-cultural heritage travelers. Heritage tourists return to an interesting destination multiple times because they want to hear more of the stories. Through their engagement, they become a potential donor or sponsor and an ambassador for the destination and its preservation work. Charter Street Cemetery is a perfect example in Salem. Because of the large percentage of people who travel to Salem, they're actively engaged and interested in the preservation work that's happening in the cemetery. Sorry. Look, spending. Okay, heritage tourism. Heritage tourism in Salem includes the House of the Seven Gables, which is a great example where one story generates attendance figures and membership and contributions to their annual fund. Another example in Salem is Christmas in Salem House Tours with Historic Salem, Inc. It's an ideal example because the program has grown exponentially over the years, inspired collaborations, and today brings thousands of visitors to Salem on the first week of December to see other people's homes in the historic districts. Visitors who spend the night, eat in Salem restaurants, shop in the stores, and gawk at private homes all benefit Salem sustainability. According to the National Park Service, and I should footnote that they do have new figures, updated figures that are higher than these for last year. In 2015, visitors spent more than $15 million in the region. Most park visitor spending was for lodging, followed by food and beverages, gas and oil, admissions, and fees and souvenirs. And that park study is available if anybody's interested in seeing it. Salem tourism generates more than $100 million in spending annually and supports 781 jobs with a total payroll of more than $23 million. More than 15% of visitors to Salem are here because of our cultural and heritage tourism. Heritage tourists, therefore, are responsible for more than $15.2 million in annual tourism spending in Salem. Thank you. I'm passing the clicker. Now it won't go. Is that the first one? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight to hear about Preservation Month. I'm Emily Udy, the Preservation Manager of Historic Salem, and I believe strongly that preservation is about managing change and that it should have an important role in how a city is run. Having Patty Kelleher on the planning staff, I think, shows the city is committed to including preservation as part of the planning process. This will allow us to have a smooth continuum between past and future. I just want to take a quick moment at the podium to let you know about one program that we have been working on. We have over 500 house histories, and you see evidence of those with the little house plaques all over the city. We just launched a portion of our website that has all of the histories associated with those plaques available digitally and searchable. So the fine-tuned details of what makes our city important is available for anyone with internet access, and I think that's really exciting. So let people know about that, and we're really excited about that program. At the heart of preservation is the desire to maintain the places that define a community so that we can understand our place in the timeline of society. Preservation, fully utilized, will unleash the enormous potential of historic buildings to address the critical problems that we face, including issues of housing, emerging businesses, quality of life, and sustainability. It is sustainability that I am here to talk about today. In looking toward the future, it is imperative to address how preservation and sustainability are intrinsically linked together. Ideally, I could lead with how preservation plays an important role in lowering waste and energy usage, but it is really key to point out that our historic resources are grossly at risk when we look at the rising sea levels. We have a city whose history is tied to the water, and as a result, many of our historic resources will face natural demolition as flood levels change and daily tides move higher and higher. Luckily, understanding historic buildings helps us in our efforts to reduce our energy usage. Historic houses and buildings built before air conditioning evolved, if you will, to meet the climate needs of their area. In New England, this means that historic buildings keep cool by taking advantage of prevailing winds. Rooms in historic houses are small with doors that can divide the house, making the rooms easier to heat. Stairways from basement to attic allow heat to vent upwards in the summer. Moderate-sized windows, double hung, often with interior shutters, keep heat or cold out or in as appropriate. Brick or thick plaster walls keep buildings comfortable for longer when the temperatures change. While we think of these characteristics as stylistic, they're not just style, but they're passive ways to keep a home comfortable without adding additional energy use. But beyond this, preservation has long been contributing to environmental conservation, whether it was recognized or not. Donovan Ripkema, a leading preservation economist, pointed out in a lecture that he delivered in Salem in 2015 that saving a 2,200 square foot house from demolition is equivalent to cutting the lifetime plastic bag use of 440 people. He also highlighted a study that showed that to rehab a historic house used 47 tons of material energy. That includes the energy used to create and ship the materials. In comparison, to build a new house on a clear site uses 3.5 times more energy, 182 tons. And to demo the old house, haul it to a landfill, and rebuild with LEED Gold architecture standards, which is one of the best sustainability measures, that actually uses 7 times more energy than it would to rehab the house of the same size. As stated by Stephanie Weeks, who's the president of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, it simply does not make sense to recycle cans and newspapers to save energy and not recycle buildings. So in Salem, we see some demolitions. We don't see wide-scale tear downs.
But everyone is, I feel like everyone has the risk to start the trend. So we advocate in most cases to try to reuse the building. And I actually just visited a house today that before it was restored would have easily, I think most of us, probably myself, would have said, I don't know that this is worth it. And the homeowners took the time and reused the house. And it is really a beautiful house and has a lot of value. So I think the excuse that it's not worth it or that it can't be saved is very rarely true. We also see in our neighborhoods, at a neighborhood scale, planning processes that contribute to sustainability. So our historic neighborhoods were developed as walkable or streetcar neighborhoods. And walkability is all the rage for individual health and well-being. But from a sustainability standpoint, it contributes greatly to less car trips, higher use of public transportation, less use of fossil fuels, better air quality, and lower consumption of automobiles in general. This leads to lower parking needs, fewer fields of asphalt, and smaller heat islands. If large-scale new construction in our city used a traditional style of city planning, we would see fewer developments that were cut off from neighborhoods and rendered residents dependent on cars. And I like to point out that proximity doesn't make something walkability, it is the physical structure of the street that makes something walkable. Being close to the train station doesn't matter if it's a miserable walk to the train station. In addition, traditional neighborhood construction will extend the character and quality of life found in our historic neighborhoods to new city residents. We can't keep inviting people to our city and asking them to live in subpar development. So while I said that we don't have a lot of demolition in Salem, that's because a lot of the demolition happened decades ago. So what we have is empty sites next to historic resources. Historic Salem's intention when we comment on new construction is to ask for and expect that what is being built now will be worth preserving in 100 years. All of our efforts to cut plastic bag usage now will be for naught if we end up tearing down buildings that have outlived their usefulness before the builders have retired. So these are some pictures of the good projects that have lasting impact. I chose not to include any of the projects that are likely to be torn down soon because they just don't, they're just not built with the same level of construction that these type of projects are. And I might sound a few decades older when I say that they don't build things like they used to. But it is institutions like the city government and community advocacy organizations like Historic Salem that must expect that we will get the best from our developers. From them, we get new residents, businesses, and tax dollars. To them, we lend our streets, our services, and the marketability of our vibrant city. As preservation advocates, we are looking for local regulations that allow buildings to have vibrant, active uses and be relevant to the needs of the people and the cities that surround them. And we ask that you hold us to this intention. In exchange, we will continue to advocate that our urban landscape reflect more than just profit margins or the whims of developers and real estate speculators. We'd like to see developments that address the long-term future needs and concerns of our valuable historic neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come with some equipment. I'll explain in a minute. Oops. Okay. We had a breakfast on May 2nd. And so in the course of preparing for that meeting, we were thinking about slides and so forth, and I thought it'd be really nice to have some kind of physical element that I could pass out and get people involved. And so I'm going to just step away from that for a second and just talk about, actually what I want to do is a couple of plugs. First of all, I want to say about the mayor. Last December, she said on the phone, "So, what are we doing for Preservation Month?" And I thought, I don't know. So Patty and I started working on things, and I want to say about Patty, you probably all know that Jane Guy worked for the Historic Commission for over 20 years. However, she only had 10 hours a week devoted to it, so but she did an incredible amount of work. Luckily, we have Patty now, who's full-time, and we've been able to do so much. And she's incredibly talented and fun to work with. We love her, so very lucky to have her. So a lot of things that we've been doing are a result of Patty's work. And so, anyway, what I'm supposed to be talking about is the effects of preservation on social life. And so I'm just going to tell you about two projects that one is inside the historic district and one is outside. And the first one is 95 Federal Street, which maybe many of you know. I came here in 1984, and that was my first project. And it had been a nursing home, and it had deteriorated and become a rooming house, and basically was like a black hole in the center of this lovely neighborhood. Everyone hated this house and everything that went on in it. And I was coming from Washington, D.C., and I looked at it and I thought, what a bargain compared to D.C. properties. And I thought, well, I think I can do something with this. So I spent a lot of time working on it, and as you see it today, it's quite different than it was before. It was aluminum sided, and none of the porches were there, none of the stained glass, many of the windows. I mean, it was a labor of love, and I really enjoyed working on it. When I first bought the building, I had my mother come up to take a look at it, and she said, just looking at it, because I mean, it was really a disaster. And I said, "So what do you think?" She said, "Well, I think the best thing you could do is to burn this thing." And I'm like, "No, you're not getting this." So anyway, about 7 months later, she came back to see what I had done, and she was really astounded. It was a kind of, she said, "You know, it's incredible the vision that you had in this." And that's the same thing I think that many developers that do historic work have this. They look at something that's just, everyone else looks at and thinks this should be torn down, but they see what it could be. And so that was in the Historic District, so I worked with the Historic Commission on that and so forth. My most recent endeavor was 19 Belt Street, which many of you may know is the Ropes Mansion, and it was the second to last farm in Northfields. And I had gone in to get coffee one morning, and one of the brokers, local brokers, said to me, "Did you know that they're going to demolish the Ropes?" And I said, "Didn't know anything about it." So I started to get involved and found out that the developer wanted to divide the property into 3 lots and demolish the historic house. And so I thought, well, see what I can do about this. It turned out that he needed a variance so that one of the lots could have the 100, well, it didn't have the 100-foot frontage, it had like 85 feet, so he was going to have to get a variance for that. So I worked with the neighbors who actually, if you know the house, it was another one of these disasters with it overgrown and, you know, it was called the haunted house, I think. And so I worked with the attorney for the developer, and I developed a list of things that the building would need to be rehabbed. And I said, I can work with the neighbors and maybe get you your variance if we can save the building. So as it turned out, all of that passed, and I ended up going up there every morning for about 6 months, cheerleading and explaining things. And we have this incredible result, and luckily the person that ended up buying the building is a professional architect, landscape architect, I should say. And so the grounds are incredible as well as the house. So it's now, you know, a shining example of what can happen. But anyway, what I wanted to say is, I mean, these are examples of very important architectural pieces, but every house, as far as I'm concerned, is an important historical element. And because you have the history of the families that lived there, you have everything that happened on that land before that house was built, there's so much involved. And a lot of people think, well, my house is new, it's less than 50 years, so it's not important. But it is important. And I wanted to kind of prove that to you. So I'm going to start out with, now my city councilor happens to have a historic house, so he doesn't count. Let's see here.
That's beautiful.
Steve,
Thank you.
and by the way, in order to produce these, this was my idea, however, Patty helped me. She snuck around and took all the pictures. And so we put this together. Heather.
I finished the lattice work.
And your
I've
wife
seen
brought
mine.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, your wife brought hers home.
Would you like me to do
None
this
too
side?
pleased.
Sure. And Heather.
Did you pay it?
Pardon?
These are paint jobs.
Oh, well, that's okay. It looks good in the pictures.
1882.
Yeah, exactly. So basically what you have there is a picture of your house treated the way it should be treated, with reverence. And also in your packets, I have shamelessly included lots of information on historic Salem, Inc., and also architectural styles. There's a book in there with a lot of interesting stories and so forth. A magnet for your card, pen, etc. And I ran into Councilor Eppley before he went on vacation, so I was able to give him his. And Councilor Fury, I was able to give his to him.
Thank you very much.
But he gave his to his landlady, so this is a packet. I'm going to get another picture for you.
Yes, you can. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, but anyway, so I just would like to have you all feel that your houses are very important too. So, I don't know if there are any questions, but that's sort of...
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I appreciate the hour is late and definitely wanted to make sure that the councilors got at least a flavor for what the preservation staff is doing. In addition to this month's breakfast, the preservation partners get together once a month. That includes that first list of all of the different agencies and to come together to learn from each other, to share information. I think many of you may know we updated our preservation master plan last year, and so we're ticking off a number of the action items in there. And we really do benefit from having a full-time preservation planner, and that wouldn't be possible without funding from Mass Historic. So we're really trying to leverage all of the assets and know-how to improve our historical resources, and wanted to make sure the council shared in knowing more about that, and certainly the message that was delivered at the breakfast this morning. So I appreciate everyone's time, and in the interest of the lateness of the hour, I'll definitely sit down. But thank you to all of our partners for being here, for staying with us and giving this presentation twice, and for all that you're doing throughout the year. Much appreciated.
Councilor Fury.
Thank you very much for being living angels of historic Salem. Living angels. There are angels among us. You are living angels of historic preservation. I've been to China and Japan, and I've had visitors from all around the world. They come from all around the world because of historic preservation, because of our the reputation that we have. You are the angels that make it come alive. Thank you.
Councilor McCarthy, Councilor Famico.
I just
Councilor McCarthy,
want
Councilor
to
Famico.
get up and thank everyone for all their efforts, and I want to thank Jessica for going on taking a picture of my house. I wish I'd finished the lattice work out front before you took it. But the interesting thing about when you talk about the history of stuff, and in my neighborhood, you refer to by the persons. I just recently bought this home. My previous home, I lived in the Reed house because they owned it before so it was their house. But the interesting story about the house I live in now, it's one of 3 sister homes. And the house right next to it is identical. And then there's one down on Beach Ave closer to the Willows Beach. All 3 of them were built at the same time. And if you go in, over the years, the interior footprint, but if you look at the details from the outside of the house, and the shape and the characteristics. There's 3 sister homes, so, but I really appreciate this, and I look forward to reading the whole packet. And thank you for all your efforts tonight.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you all for doing this presentation and for this. So where I live is actually the 1805 Custom House. So I was kind of giggling getting this because everyone's taking photos of the building anyhow. But just thank you for all your efforts. I recently wrote an article for the next Salem magazine. It's not out yet, but a big part of what I highlighted is I spoke about when I walk through the streets of Salem, it is like time traveling. You can see 4 centuries of all different architecture, and that's due to a lot of the preservation that's happening. It can be expensive, it can be tedious. My brother and his girlfriend are seeing that now, but it's just so amazing, and to be able to walk around and to see everything around us and just breathe it in. And earlier today, Councilor Dibble and myself, we went into the old courthouse with Jessica as well on Federal Street, and just on Federal Street there, I love looking down because you can see just there along that stretch different types throughout the ages. But please keep up the good work for this and keep these houses going forward so we can get another century plus out of them.
Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilor Famico just stole some of my thunder. We had a wonderful tour of the county administration office and building, rather, and the old registry of deeds building, as well as the courthouse. And it was a pleasure to see my old friend Jessica there again, because we worked together some 25 years ago, I'm not sure exactly when, about 25 years ago, on tree planting programs. And Historic Salem, Inc. stepped forward with a small fundraiser and presented the city of Salem with a check and said, we're going to do more. And I said, oh, this is pretty good. But later, they had a giant fundraiser, raised a lot of money, and we really kicked the citywide tree planting program off to a much bigger step. And every single season, spring and fall, tree planting was so much bigger because of yours and Historic Salem's effort. But tonight, I'm moved that I see a photograph of my house, and you took the time to thank us and to present these to us. So thank you both for your work, and anybody else who had a hand in this. I'm privileged, and a wonderful presentation tonight, and we truly live in a special place. The list that goes on and on of the houses and boards and historic groups and on and on and on. Like I started to say earlier, most other cities and towns would like to have 2 or 3 of what we have, but we have dozens. Well, ladies, thank you for this honor.
Any other councilors? No? Jessica.
I was reminded that I was supposed to plug something that we want to do. We're going to be bringing before you at some point, through the mayor, a request to increase our demo delay timeframe, which is only 6 months now, and most other cities have a year or 18 months. And with 6 months, basically, a developer can spend that time doing his plans and financing and all that. So they really aren't inhibited in any way with 6 months. So that's something that, we'll bring to you later and have you consider.
Jessica, I want to thank you and your team also. I had the benefit of seeing the expressions on the faces of the councilors as you handed out this very personal gift that you gave us, and clearly everybody's home is important. So I just want to thank you for this very personal, very touching gesture and gift. And for us, it's especially personal because my husband's grandfather built our house, so now we've got something to hold on to here. So thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam President. If we could indulge one more time before we go back to the regular part of it, because I realized that the superintendent's behind me still, so I knew she was there someplace. Can we take out of order on page 13 committee reports, and specifically the one in the middle?
Okay. Committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs proposed to the committee of whole, to whom was referred the matter of community benefits agreement with North Shore Medical Center, has considered said matter and would recommend we report it out of committee without a recommendation.
Okay, on Councilor, on acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
Discussion, this has been a long process, came to us in February, and it's been in the committee, 4, 5, 6 committee meetings. Finally, I think we have it out. I think most of the issues are addressed, but I'll let the other councilors speak on the community benefits agreement. Thank you.
Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to propose an amendment to the order. It's a copy of a letter that I received from the mayor on May 6, 2017. It just goes into memorializing what is committed to be done in the area around the North Shore Medical Center. So I'd just like to add that to the order. Everybody's had a copy. I've got copies here, but I think everybody's seen it. It's just setting a timetable for the improvements in and around the hospital, and I'd like to add that as a friendly amendment.
Okay. Did Councilor Sargent second it? Okay. Okay, so all those in favor of...
No.
Any more discussion? Councilor McCarthy.
If I may, since the recommendation out of committee was no recommendation, obviously I appreciate the amendment, but at some point someone needs to move the question. So the question would be a move to approve the community benefits agreement. So I don't know if that motion would come from me or would come from the committee chair.
Councilor Ryan.
That's fine. Move that we refer this, that we approve the community benefits agreement, sorry. Motion to approve the community benefits agreement. As amended.
As amended. Okay. Second?
Second.
Under discussion, Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam
Councilor
President.
Fury, was that
I brought this up last time during the meeting. I'd like to just make a condition that roadway improvements that we do have our Traffic and Parking Commission and the Bicycling Advisory Group just review it to make sure it's top-notch. Just to make sure we have the up and up, because sometimes they see things that we don't see at all. If the three councilors okay with it.
I'll take that as a friendly amendment. I have no problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Council.
Councilor Fury? Oh, okay. Any further discussion? Councilor Sargent?
Just quickly, I just want to thank the other members of the committee for all the work on this. It didn't come in as a regular construction construction project. It started with a land swap. So from the very beginning, we had to figure out how to swap some land behind Bertram Field for some other land, still have rights to get people into Bertram Field for parking, for high school sporting events. So it wasn't so cut and dry, it was a kind of a long process, and I think we have a better product because of it. And just for the record, we said it in committee before, but I think Councilor Lovely's taken a lot of heat for this allegedly being delayed. But it was just trying to work to get this project done and get the land swap done. And the land swap would have gone away. It was in committee in the State House. It was Councilor Lovely who let the hospital attorney know that there was a week or so before a deadline, or it would have had to get restarted. So that's not the actions of somebody trying to delay something. And this being probably the heart of the automobile travel part of the city, with Jefferson Avenue, Wilson Road, Highland Avenue, Jackson Street. I don't know of anybody who doesn't go down one of those streets at least once a day. So it was really important to get this done right and get a lot of improvements around there. And I would just want to thank the committee for working so hard on it. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. Being a member of the committee who sat through several hearings on this, I also would like to congratulate the good Ward 3 councilor in his efforts, not just for the immediate area or within his ward, but it's a benefit to the whole city, as I said earlier in the committee meeting. And I also like to thank the mayor for her willingness to compromise, if you would, and find the funds and find a way to improve the immediate area around the hospital as part of the whole dialogue here. So I think some compromises were made on all sides. And at the end of the day, it's a good thing for the whole city of Salem.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Ryan's motion to adopt, to approve as amended? All those in favor? Oh,
Roll call vote?
That was my condition.
okay, roll call vote, 3 hands? Okay. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Terrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard? Oop. Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of approving the committee benefits agreement as amended, we have 9 counselors voting, 1 absent, 1 recused. We have 9 counselors in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The matter is unanimous. Counselor Ryan.
To reconsider in the hopes it does not prevail.
Counselor Ryan makes a motion to reconsider in the hopes that it does not prevail. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed.
The matter does not carry. Counselor Famiko, Counselor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. Is the superintendent staying for the school committee compensation? Okay. I'd like to move out of order to page 11. Our friends over here were in the hallway for a bit. We have a couple trials on page 11 for traffic, and there's a couple residents that have been with us for hours.
Okay, motions, orders, and resolutions. Which one are we starting with, Counselor?
The second one.
On page 11?
The second and third to be right now, yes.
Page 11, the second and third order? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Counselor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam President. The City of Salem and City Council, May 11, 2017, ordered that be a trial period of up to 60 days for the following traffic recommendation. Prescott Street, one-way eastbound from Sumner Street, it says Sumner, but it's Summer Street to Margin Street.
Move for adoption?
Move for adoption.
Okay. Under discussion?
Just briefly, it's an effort to try to take care of a very difficult traffic situation that's in the neighborhood of Endicott Street and Prescott Street, where people are coming down Mill Hill and using Endicott Street primarily to get through to Summer Street, get up North Street, and get further down to Boston Street into Highland Avenue. So the neighbors have lived with this for years. This is going to be a temporary fix, I believe. I'm hoping that a larger fix will take place where traffic will come down Mill Hill, take a right through the current parking lot, and take a left up Gedney Street. But that's in the planning. The engineers are taking a look at that, the feasibility, and essentially the cost. I think everybody agrees that it's a good thing and will help keep traffic out of the neighborhood that has been dealing with it so long. I want to commend Councilor Famiko for working on this as well, and she's going to be bringing in the companion order for Endicott Street. And there are a couple of neighbors here who represent the Greater Endicott Neighborhood Association, and they popped out. I didn't know they were here. I saw them earlier. I would have brought it up earlier, but Councilor Famiko advised me that they were still here. Thank you very much for your participation.
Further discussion? Councilor Famiko.
Yes, Madam President. So this all started, I don't even know, about 1.5 years ago or so. We had a meeting with a neighborhood group. I don't know if the mayor was at that one, but we had the city engineer and at that time the city DPW director, so we've had a lot of people part of this discussion. I will note that for the meeting for the Traffic and Parking Commission, when they met on this, they did have a couple conditions that didn't go forward, and I'll email those to the clerk after so they don't have to write them. But one is that prior to this going in effect, that they recommended that traffic counts be done prior to the trial and during it at minimum, at the entrance to Endicott off Margin, the entrance of Summer off Jefferson at Summer as well, so that we have some counts before and during to see, well, how is this affecting other parts of the neighborhood? And also that notification prior to going into effect. And our traffic and parking director said that he would do a mailing or go door to door, whatever we think is best, maybe a combination, but just to make sure we have those put in there and that we don't go into effect without doing those.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Lovely's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Councilor Lovely.
We got Councilor
I defer to
Famiko.
Councilor Famiko.
City of Salem and City Council, May 11, 2017. ordered that there be a trial of up to 60 days from the following recommendation: Endicott Street one-way, eastbound from Summer Street to Margin Street.
Move for adoption?
Move for adoption.
Any discussion?
So this piggybacks on the other. When I speak with Matt, I'll make sure he gets Prescott Street as well, because it feeds into that. And as Councilor Lovely said, we were looking at adding that other two-way direction. VHB's already started looking at that. When we all started this too, I think it was Councilor Sargent and Councilor Lovely that brought up, hey, how come we're not experimenting with going the other way there? So anything's possible. So I move for adoption.
Any further discussion on Councilor Famico's motion for adoption? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. We heading back to the beginning? Councilor McCarthy.
So moved. I move that, Madam President, that we return to page 5.
Okay, page 5. Appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of Samuel Hogue and Colin McLean to serve as members of the Salem Youth Commission with their terms to be expired on May 11th, 2020.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Under discussion?
Briefly, Madam President, it's been a long night. These two young men have done a terrific job on the commission. They've really been active. That we saw some of their work with the Student Government Day last month, and some of the things that they've been putting together. And so I'm glad to have them back on, and I enthusiastically support it.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Terrio's motion, Madam Clerk?
Councilor Terrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Lovely?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Famico?
Yes.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
And Councilor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of the reappointment of Samuel Hung and Colin McLean, we have 10 councilors voting, 1 absent, 10 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The appointment's carried. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of John Boris to serve as a member of the Salem Housing Authority Board with a term to expire May 11th, 2022.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Under discussion?
Again, briefly, Mr. Boris has been, we all know him, he's been a terrific servant of Salem. He's been serving on the Housing Authority and is a great voice for us there, and I'm glad he's willing to continue.
On Councilor Terrio's motion for confirmation, Madam Clerk? Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I also rise in support of Mr. Boris. I had the privilege of working with him some 28 years ago on other non-housing issues. He helped get the Salem recycling program started. He was part of the committee and several other issues, but I've worked with him a lot recently on housing authority issues, and he is a pleasure and a huge bonus to be part of this board. So thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of Mr. Boris.
Councilor Fury.
Madam President, I echo that. He is a living angel, the epitome of public service. He and his wife, the homeless and the housing. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to long years for him on the board. Thank you.
Councilor Lovely.
Just briefly, John Boris's motto is "Get things done." So when he tells us he's going to try to do something, he really works hard at it. So, congratulations to John Boris.
Any further discussion? Seeing none on Councilor Terrio's motion, Madam Clerk?
Councilor Terrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Lovely?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Famico?
Yes.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of the reappointment of John Boris to the Salem Housing Authority, we have 10 councilors voting, 1 absent, 10 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The appointment carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Stephen R. Havey to serve as a constable with a term to expire April 18, 2018.
Councilor Ryan.
Move received and placed on file.
Councilor Ryan moves that this be received and placed on file. Under discussion?
No discussion.
Okay. Councilor, okay.
Thank you.
All right. On Councilor Ryan's motion that this be received and placed on file, all those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $33,000 from capital outlay renovation and repair account to start up costs for the operation of Forest River Pool.
Councilor Girai.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I go into this, I just want to mention that since I was a previous employee at the Y, that's been 9 months since I've been there, I did file a disclosure and filed that with the city clerk's office, just in case there was some sort of
Thank you.
appearance. So anyway, I motion for a suspension of the rules.
See no objection? Councilor Girai.
Thank you, Madam President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. These are necessary repairs that need to be done for the Forest River Pool in order to have what will probably be its last season. And so this will hopefully just get us through the end of August.
Any further discussion on Councilor Girard's motion? Oh, Councilor Dibble?
Thank you, Madam President. I just rise in question. This is for $33,000 to start up and get the pool up and running for this year. But there must have been something in the budget each and every year before this to start the pool up and get things running again. So it's an additional $33,000 in addition to whatever is there in the budget now. So I'm wondering what was in the budget and why this is submitted so late. I mean, we don't really have a choice but to vote on this if we're going to open the pool in time. This should have came to us a while ago. Also, there's $11,000 in here going to Weston Sampson for something titled assistance in opening the pool. That's $11,000 for some sort of assistance.
That's a huge pool.
I realize that, but all it says is assistance. What are they doing? Thank you. I'd actually like to see this go to the Committee on Administration and Finance. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilor Girard, Councilor Terrio, Councilor McCarthy.
I'll gladly defer to the Ward 5 counselor since this is...
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Madam President. Normally speaking, that the pool is, we have funds allocated for its startup and maintenance, and that's something that's done throughout the year. We're pretty much not in that situation anymore. The pool is past its lifespan, has suffered extensive damage. We have a commitment from the administration that was also relayed to the neighborhood at a neighborhood meeting about the pool recently, that they would do what was necessary to get this pool up and running for throughout the rest of this year, and deal with as much of the damage and leaking as possible so that we could get one more season out of it. There's a plan in the works now to work on a replacement for it of some sort. We haven't defined exactly what that will be yet, and that's going to be an ongoing process. Weston Sampson is working with us on that from an engineering perspective and seeing what is possible at that site. And so normally speaking, no, there's no special allocation to try and get the pool up, but this is the, part of the mayor's commitment to the community to make sure that the only public outdoor pool in Salem can remain in operation for this last year. So I have no interest in seeing this go to committee. I have a commitment to my neighborhood to try and make sure that this pool is up and operational. It's a resource that a lot of people from all throughout the city rely on, and this is almost certainly its swan song this season, but I think it's something we should keep going while we can.
Councilor McCarthy.
I'm all set. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble, did you make a motion to send this to committee?
Yes, I make that motion now, if it wasn't clear before, to send this to the Committee on Administration and Finance.
Okay. All right. So on Councilor Dibble's motion to refer this matter to...
Is there a second first?
Oh, is there a second? Yeah.
Second.
Councilor Lovely. On Councilor Dibble's motion to refer this to...
Administration.
Did you want to keep it in committee? Is that, or you want to send it back to committee? That's what you're saying?
It hasn't been to committee.
It hasn't gone to committee.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. To send it to committee. On Councilor Dibble's motion to send this to committee. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed.
The matter does not carry. On Councilor Girard's motion for adoption. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $25,000 from capital outlay renovation and repair account to fund a study and assessment of the Salem Common Bandstand.
Council Durant.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Seeing no objection, Council Durant.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption.
Any discussion?
Thank you. This is, if you looked in our packet, that the city engineer, he provided a detailed report of some issues that have been going on at the gazebo for some time now, and this is a study that is needed to figure out how to mitigate those issues and how to best address that so that we can utilize it as much as possible, especially where there's so many great things that go on in the common during the summer, and utilizing the gazebo, we have to make sure that it's functioning. I know I've been helping out at different events, and there's been flooding in the basement there as we're trying to put things back. So, yeah, need some help.
Any further discussion on Council Gerard's motion for adoption? All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $13,973.75 from the capital outlay equipment account for the purchase of 2 used vehicles for the Salem Police Department.
Sorry, Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Seeing no objection, Councilor Giroux.
Thank you again. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion?
Thank you yet again. I spoke with the police chief about this, and so right now they have 6 cars that are basically just being used by DPS to pull parts from, and so they desperately need these 2 cars, one of which, both of them are coming from Manchester by the Sea Police Department, one of which is already outfitted for K9, and that was one of the needs, and then the other one is ready to go as well, and this is really helping them keep their current fleet at the appropriate level. So I strongly support this.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Gerard's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a transfer of $6,000 from the library full-time salary account to the library building maintenance account for repairs to the library's HVAC system.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption.
Under discussion?
Thank you. This is the continuing work that we have already approved some funding for the HVAC system, so this is just continuing that work, and this is what they need at the next step of repairing that. So it'll be nice and cool this summer when we all go to the library.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Gerard's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept a donation of $4,450 from various citizens to the Park and Recreation Donation Fund.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Gerard moves for adoption. Under discussion?
Thank you. I'll be brief. I had reached out to the Park and Rec Director just to try to get the names of the various citizens, and I didn't hear back from her. So to the currently anonymous various citizens, thank you very much for your $4,450 donation to the Park and Rec Fund.
Thank you. Any further discussion? On Councilor Gerard's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Let's see. Motions, orders, and resolutions. We're on page 10. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, May 11th, 2017, ordered that the monthly financial report dated March 31st, 2017 be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance. And I move for adoption.
Councilor Gerard moves for adoption. Under discussion?
No discussion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, in the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 74, General Prohibition Towing Zone. Tremont Street, southwesterly odd side from the driveway of number 75 Tremont Street to the intersection of Grove Street, no parking tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter. And I move for adoption for first passage.
Councilor Gerard moves for adoption. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. I had gotten a call from a constituent that the evening before, this was 2 Mondays ago, actually 3 Mondays ago, there was a drunk driver who was driving from Peabody, flying down Tremont Street, hit a parked car, and then careened into her retention wall and almost hit the window where her 10-month-old child sleeps. And so in speaking with Lieutenant Brzezinski, and then also having Matt Smith come out, the traffic and parking director, come out and look at this, because this area, this is the intersection right by School Street and just beyond where Grove Street intersects, that this intersection has been a problem for some time. And so this is the recommendation that Lieutenant Brzezinski made. This is also what the resident as well as her neighbors have agreed with as well, in terms of protecting them further. And hopefully in the future there will be some traffic calming measures that will help that area as well.
Any further discussion on Councilor Gerard's motion for adoption? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, in the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, be it ordained the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50P, repeal handicap parking limited time, Dow Street in front of number 15 for a distance of 20 feet, handicap parking only, tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect by city charter.
For adoption.
Move for adoption.
Under discussion?
The person moved. Plain and simple, the person moved is no longer needed, so to free up a spot on the Dow Street.
Any further discussion on Councilor McCarthy's motion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Famico.
City of Salem, in the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking limited time. Lathrop Street in front of number 4 for a distance of 20 feet. Handicap parking only, tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter.
Move for adoption?
Move for adoption.
Under discussion?
No.
Okay. Any other discussion? Under Councilor Famico's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, the year 2016, ordinance to amend the ordinance relative to the Salem zoning map, be it ordained by City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, the parcels set forth below, currently zoned business neighborhood B1, are hereby rezoned residential two-family R2, 15 Green Street, 72, 76, and 80 Leach Street, 2, 4, and 6 Glover Street. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect by as provided by city charter, and I move that it be referred to the planning board, schedule a joint public hearing.
Any discussion?
Just briefly, this is a kind of an accident of history that there's a lot there surrounded by R2 that is zoned B1. Once upon a time, there were a couple of neighborhood shops there. Those have been gone for decades, but that B1 designation allows for more options that aren't necessarily good for the rest of the neighborhood. So we're dealing with some of that right now, and this is to get the zoning support for later fixes.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Councilor Terrio's motion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Committee reports. Oh, okay. Councilor Sargent.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, May 11, 2017, ordered that private electric and telecommunication companies doing business in Salem be invited to attend a Government Services Committee meeting to discuss the removal of abandoned equipment located on telephone poles, on buildings, and between telephone poles and buildings in Salem. National Grid, Verizon, Comcast, and any other company doing such business will be invited. This is a request of the city electrician. Thank you.
Thank you.
No discussion.
Okay. Any other late files? Motions or orders? No? Okay. Councilor Terrio?
Don't we have to vote on the motion, though?
Yes. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Are there any further? No? No late files. Okay, committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
An ordinance license legal affairs for the matter of granting certain licenses has considered said matter and would recommend approval. Tag Day Salem Fire Department.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
No discussion.
Okay. On Councilor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, May 11th, 2017. Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of compensation for school committee members, has considered the said matter and would recommend favorable recommendation to increase the school committee members' compensation to $8,500 beginning fiscal year 2018, and further recommend that the matter be referred to ordinances, licenses, and legal affairs for further review.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. This was one of the most interesting meetings I think I've ever sat in. There was a great deal of discussion about the ordinance. It was my colleague from Ward 2 who had originally brought this in. It was a little challenging. There was one member who recused due to a family conflict, another member who abruptly left, and then another member who came in late. So it was a little confusing, but what the committee ended up coming out with was recommending in favor of the increase that the counselor from Ward 2 had recommended, but we also wanted it to go to OLA so that they can review the ordinance, and then if they feel that if they want to change the compensation, they can do that as well.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. So just the folks at home know we came at this number with the increase in city council salaries starting next year and the year after. It's based on the mayoral salary, and we're supposed to look at that anyhow. The number this was originally looking at, we went from I think 5,000 one year up to the 8,500, but that's a big jump between 2 years. So we stuck with the 8,500 starting this year because with the city council increase, in 2 years' time, it's an addition of $3,000 to what the current salary is. If you multiply that by the 11 councilors, that's $33,000. But then if you then divided out the amount of school committee members, so there's 6 school committee members. So that adds $5,500 to their current $3,000 to get at $8,500. We had a salary review shown of surrounding areas, but you know, when you look at schools, you have to look at different districts, have different populations, have different challenges. And I'd say in the last few years especially, our school committee has faced a lot of challenges. We found out through the school business manager that on average, a lot of these school committee members, not only are they serving on the school committee, they're also serving on many subcommittees. Their meetings, although tonight we think it's pretty long, for us, a lot of the school committee meetings are this length, if not longer. They're in control of over half of our budget and also helping leading the changes and direction of where the future of the city is going to be, and even the people that will sit here, or maybe not, other people move in there. I don't think it's outrageous to go to that much of an increase, because like I said, currently city council salary is $12,000. In 2 years' time will be $15,000, and in the case of the city council, we're also eligible for health care and benefits as well, which for certain people, it can go anywhere from $6,000 in addition to that base to all the way up to about $15,000, bringing it from anywhere from $16,000 per counselor to $30,000, depending on what you purchase for that. We said to put it to OLA for a couple of reasons. One thing is this salary for school committee, it's set by ordinance, and it's supposed to be reviewed every 2 years. Since being on the council and I looked back, I couldn't find a time that I had been part of reviewing it, and I apologize to school committee members for not catching that sooner. And also to go to OLA, there were questions raised by the Ward 7 counselor who's still seeking some answers regarding while it doesn't trigger having to allow health care and other benefits, it might trigger things like pensions and retirement plans. So we just want to ensure that, but at least move it along in that manner. And also we're about to go through our budget season. That's why time is really of the essence for this. We submitted it, I think, a month and a half ago. We've been quite busy with a lot of items, but I'm hoping that if we have an OLA meeting next Thursday, we could have this added to the agenda for that and get this out in time for the next council meeting. But just to reiterate, I don't think an increase from 3,000 to 8,500 is that big of a deal for this. Yes, it's money and you're adding it up, but these people deserve it. They do a lot for our kids, they do a lot for the schools, and it's due time.
Councilor Fieri?
Madam President, as a former member of the school committee for 12 years, it's nice to recognize and respect the role and responsibility of the school committee. They do an omnibussing job. I really appreciate your compassion, Councilor Famico, for them. 2 vacancies, Debbie Amaro and I think, and Brendan Walsh, two irreplaceable people. Wealth of experience, family, knowledge about the Salem school system, two vacancies there, irreplaceable. And we hope to have good people. And I think if we compensate them in some small measure, I think we'll recognize their role, what they've done in the past, and maybe encourage other people to run for school committee. A very important job. They pick the superintendent, they do negotiations, contracts, and thank you, Councilor Miko, for recognizing their role and responsibility. Thank you.
Any further discussion? No? On Councilor Gerard's motion, all those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries.
Co-posted. Ola, can we co-post that?
It was co-posted, right? Okay, all right. Communications from city officials? None. Petitions?
We have a list of license applications for taxi operators and vehicle for hire operators only.
Wait for reading.
Councilor Ryan?
Move granted.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
Thank you very much.
On Councilor Ryan's motion that these licenses be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions?
We have a license application for a second-hand valuable.
Councilor Ryan?
Move refer to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions?
We have a list of claims.
Councilor Ryan?
Move refer to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
On Councilor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions?
We have one constable bond.
Councilor Ryan?
Move refer to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs and return to approve.
Discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor of Councilor Ryan's motion? All those opposed? Matter carries. Unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending Chapter 32, Section 32-19, constables.
Councilor Ryan?
Move second, final passage.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? No? On Councilor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 51, parking prohibited certain streets, Jefferson Avenue, at number 59 for 100 feet.
Councilor Lovely?
Move second and final passage.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
On Councilor Lovely's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking, limited time, Upham Street.
Councilor Gerard?
Thank you, Madam President. I move for second and final passage.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
On Councilor Gerard's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 88, special speed zone regulations for Derby Street.
Councilor McCarthy?
I move for second and final passage.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
On Councilor McCarthy's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Councilor Fury? Oh,
Motion to adjourn, Madam President.
okay, Councilor. We're adjourned.